And even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. The possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like, it shows that there's
always something else cool right around the corner that we can come up with, because there's no end to the prompts. There's no end to what we can roll up.
Now we're going to be officially rolling for superpowers. This is usually the make or break.
Roll for hero.
Okay, we're on, everyone. Ayo and hello, everybody. It's me, your weird Uncle E, and of course, I am here with my beautifully bald-headed co-star. You know him, you love him, everyone's favorite and fun Uncle Fishy, and we are excited. I am always excited for Roll for Hero, and I'm not just saying that just out of my showmanship, but in reality, I very much enjoy Roll for Hero, a segment of our channels in which we let the dice dictate what the heck we're going to be drawing for today. But today is a bit of a special day, and here's the reason as to why it is a bit special. Mr. Fish, if I'm incorrect, your entire career, you have drawn a number of, superheroes, supervillains, and other variety of muscular individuals in tights and in their underwear. But have any of these characters ranged being in the realms of like the public domain by any chance?
Oh, man, I'm here to tell you, the book that kept my family fed, kept a roof over our head all through COVID, was The Sentinels. That was one that I'm now working on my like 9th or 10th issue of it that I've worked on. Just wrapped it up, by the way. It's live now on the pre-launch page on Kickstarter, Sentinels issue 12. You can go check it out, sign up for the pre-launch page so you're notified when it goes live. It has a whole bunch of public domain characters in it. And Roy liked to think of it as like, what if there was a third company out there that was buying up characters when other companies went out of business, and they created their own like Justice League out of all these characters that they bought up. So there's a whole lot of public domain characters. And then there's just a couple of like his own original ideas thrown in there and some original supervillains and stuff. And it has been so much fun. Honestly, I didn't care for public domain characters before I started working on the Sentinels. My thought was always, why work on something public domain when you could create something of your own? But I really came around on it working on the Sentinels. Glad you're here, man. It really showed me the fun aspect of them, how cool it is to have a character with some history already that kind of helps you understand who they are and what's going on and jump into the story without having to go into a whole lot of backstory. And they fit into narrative roles really well. Like it's really easy to find like a Captain America style hero or a Batman style hero or, a detective or somebody who got doused with something and now has a crazy power. It's easy to find characters that can fit those roles, and you don't have to spend forever explaining like, oh, this is a character like Spider-Man. You can just be, oh, well, he got doused in some chemicals. Now he has strange powers and he's going to use them to save the day. And I really like them. I've really come around now. That Alice Lost in Wonderland has a whole bunch of them now because of that.
That is very true. And you know what? Kind of hopping onto that, obviously the one aspect of my channel that is by far the most popular aspect of my channel is me creating Marvel or DC equivalent characters, utilizing characters from the public domain. I have obviously created my own Iron Man, my own Captain America, my Hulk. I literally created the Justice League, Teen Titans, the Avengers. I have created a variety of these characters. Mind you, these are just for funsies and for videos. And in the odd chance, if I ever do have that desire to actually work on those, I at least have the characters in place to use them. Actually, to some degree, I'm actually going to be using some of those Marvel and DC adjacent ones, and I am putting them in my own original comic of the Unbeatables. They're just going to be more like background characters. Some of them that they might interact with, who knows? I mean, there is still an open opportunity for a lot of creative possibilities there. Good, got here just in time. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for popping in. We are excited. Absolutely. But we mentioned and we talk about the public domain stuff because, well, for one, that's actually the topic of today's video. So instead of rolling up a random set of powers and all these other kind of crazy things, as much as we love them, and trust me, I was thinking about the entire steampunk universe that we ended up like coming up with, last week and the weeks before. Today, I want to try something a little different. I actually tossed out the suggestion of like, how about we roll up at least like a public domain hero, and then we do our very own takes on these characters to really help diversify, and not only that, to kind of show you like how two different artists think. Because as it is, everyone here is more or less seeing how we think in terms of how we design a character. I happen to have a more anime and a manga like approach, but Mr. Fish over here happens to have the more classic 80s cartoon monstrous kind of effect, depending on what we ended up rolling up on that day. So I'm having a blast and whatnot. And actually, speaking of the whole steampunk stuff, do you want to show what characters we ended up creating as of last week?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Let
So
me
last
pull up
week, I can find the little paper of sorts because I know I have it here somewhere. Oh no, I was totally prepared for that at least. Okay, come on. You're the whole paper with superpowers. I have so many of these little like things here. I swear, some of these are mini comics. Other of these are just like practice bits. Where are you? Where is the little book that has all the powers in it? My gosh, I have so many. I know I wrote it down somewhere. You're somewhere here. Well, the last I remembered, we basically rolled up a character who is in a steampunk setting, who happens to have the power of invulnerability, and their powers were, if I'm incorrect, inherited by like either birth or by some entity beyond, their own comprehension, if you will. And not only that, but that was it. It was just the powers of invulnerability, which actually ended up making it our shortest stream yet. And not only that, but it actually was the most fun because we ended up rolling the same, situation, but we also rolled up a hero, and one of us had to draw the hero and one of us had to draw the villain. I wanted to challenge myself, and I drew this villain right over here. This is Ivan the Invulnerable. For some reason, the automatic thought process when coming into drawing this entire character design, given how it was in a steampunk setting, I thought of the hunter from Jumanji. I don't know why, that just came into my mind. It had that safari explorer hat. He looks like the kind of guy that will hunt a cheetah for sport, kind of a thing. And that was my mentality going into this. He lives in a steampunk world, but he was chosen by the spirit of the hunter or the huntress or something along the lines of that, to basically kind of equal out, because hunting is an actual vital part of our society. We need to hunt in order to kind of keep the population of some animals down here and there, because overpopulation could kill one particular situation and vice versa. So for him, he was supposed to be the chosen of hunting something down to kind of keep the population at an equilibrium, if you will. That's at least my thought process into going into that. And it turns out his prey ended up becoming someone that he would have to encounter later on.
Todd. I love the idea of like just the one power, and what would you be with that one power? And if you were just tough enough to take a hit, like you didn't have to be absolutely everything super perfect man like Superman, like you just could take a hit. And and when we got to talking about the idea of them like being imbued with their power by a particular force. And I also like the modifier we got with the idea of their power being limited. And I really kind of steered into that in my thoughts with him, was the thought of what if you were invulnerable, but it was only going to last for so long. And every time you use that, it was being chipped away at, and eventually it was going to give way. So you're tough enough to jump in front of a bullet for somebody, but you don't know when that power is going to run out, and suddenly that bullet's going to take you out. And the thought of some dude that is just kind enough and generous enough that he knows he can take the hit, so he's going to take it even though it might kill him someday. I loved that. And the idea of him being hunted and pursued by his creator, which we turned into being a yin and yang thing where the hunter is hunting him, and he's trying to do the same thing of bring balance to nature, but he's trying to do it from a kinder, gentler method of, feeding and taking care of and tending to things rather than, cull the herd so that it, thrives better. and I loved the yin and yang of it, and I really see like a cool like political drama with this chunky hayseed just running around in the middle of things, like not fully understanding everything that's going on, but knowing he has to step up when the chance arises. And I just loved that. I love the way they came out with.
And not only that, we were
Um,
also thinking of like expanding those characters into this ever-growing steampunk universe with our alien steampunk characters, like
mhm.
Cadence Featherwind and Shelbyville, and how those characters end up working together, being in this whole
Oh,
crazy
that must be
steampunk universe and whatnot. Also, just to kind of touch on to some of the comments here, starting off with Dadpool because he asked first. Quick question: are the role for hero posts we make come through to you guys? Just wanted to make sure.
I
It's
haven't looked yet today.
yeah.
I haven't looked in a couple of days, so they probably are. I meant to look earlier today, and then I got busy working on some stuff before I have to leave this weekend again, and I forgot to look before the show. But we
Same.
will
Well,
absolutely check on that.
for me, I technically have no excuse. I should be looking for those because I'm also working more onto my YouTube stuff as well. Now that I've created a little cartoon avatar for myself and adding on to those fun factors, so I should be looking into. As those questions were being asked, and while you were talking, I was kind of looking through, making sure that I found a few role for hero suggestions on Instagram. Found some very interesting ones. I'm not sure if they derived from the stream and whatnot, but it looks like they did come from that. So I'm gonna have to take a second look on that. Also, next question we have is when you're not busy, Mr. Fish, what do you think of the character I Sent by Cedric
Oh
Haywood?
yeah, I think they look cool, man. I like the ideas you're coming up with. That's really cool stuff, man. I really dig it.
Dude stuff. And now we have who looks like he would be underrated at first and becomes a low-key fan favorite.
Hmm.
I can't tell if that's a question. I don't know if I read that correctly or if I'm just going crazy. I'm gonna go into the assumption that I'm going crazy. Other than that, though, I am excited to move forward from here. So listen, I think we had enough fun getting to show off some very nifty ideas, getting to show off all the other characters and whatnot. But I believe it is time for us to begin what we have been trying to start thus far.
All right,
And how
let's
about
get
we begin
ready.
the process in rolling book? And there we go. We got that visual of Tower Grayskull. So now we shall begin the rolling process. So I believe how we were now. I know that we have the list of said heroes that I ended up conjuring up. Now the question is, are we going to just roll up the character and we just redesign them, or are we going to put them in a different like setting or a different thing like their future steampunk, so on and so forth?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm fine with either one. I'm cool with coming up with just our own versions of them and how would we do it, or if we want to put it in some particular setting. Um, I'm curious. Do the people in the audience have anything? Would they like to
Yes.
see it in any particular setting? If we redesign these characters to be in some particular setting. Glad you guys liked my suggestions last time with the middle block for Todd and Shelbyville spaceship. Oh, that was a great idea.
Oh,
Absolutely
that is
love the train idea. Can't
can't
touch.
touch
I
it.
feel you, man.
That's how it be. Like,
And
or it could have just been me. I don't know how to read sometimes. What do you guys think of
good
this team?
name idea. Good
That
name
is
idea.
a really good name, honestly. Like the team itself being called the
Mhm.
Steam Team, top tier stuff. I'm so for the idea of actually getting to create, that into a whole other universe. But that's like a sit down. Let's actually chat about that kind of a concept. But I believe it is time for us to, roll up and hero, or in this case, how about just for simplicity's sake, so that way we can get our own visual cues. We're just gonna roll up a random character and we're just gonna draw it within our style. So here is the list that we have right over here. This is the list of public domain heroes. Oh, well, hold on a second. We got heroes of a horror setting, and then we have all right. So Dadpool said heroes of a horror setting. That's always an interesting one, as well as Cedric saying, "I'm going to say sci-fi." Ooh,
I dig sci-fi. Gotta
We always
admit.
go with sci-fi, like Creature Commando style.
Oh, Creature Commando style. Okay,
Yeah.
see, me and Dadpool on the same wavelength there. Like I dig
I
that.
dig that. Oh, okay. I feel like we
All
need
right.
a third. I feel like we need like another one just to like offset that.
Mm-hmm.
So then that way we can then roll into one of those kind of three categories if we wanted to. So like we have sci-fi, we have horror, and then we got one other genre. We can then like tap into it a little bit and be like, okay, 1 out of 3. Let's see how we can go from there. Or we can roll for the idea of doing it of one of those two ways. We can do like evens is sci-fi, odds are the horror setting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
All
think
right.
that do you think we should go for that, Mr. Fish? Because I'm just kind of chugging out some ideas.
I'm
And you know
fine.
what
I
happens?
want to see if anybody else has an idea first, and then we may roll for see which one we come up with. But I mean, I could put sci-fi and horror together without a problem.
Oh, yeah,
But
that's right.
what other
Cosmic horror.
ideas we get? Let's see. We've got in the heroes. We have number 1 is Silver Streak. Number 2 is Minuteman. Number 3 is Madame Fatale or Madame Fatal. Number 4, Pyro Man. Number 5, The Liberator. Number 6, The Green Llama. Number 7, Miss Mask. 8, American Eagle. Number 9, the creepiest of them all that would absolutely 100% fit into Creature Commandos, Yankee Doodle Jones. And number 10, Rocket Man, a.k.a. Jet Jupiter.
We also got a third suggestion
Dragon Gang coming in.
saying,
What
what
about
about
Apocalyptic?
apocalyptic
Oh,
heroes?
man.
That is interesting.
That
But then the question is, what kind of apocalypse? Now I'm joking. We'll go off of that. But how? Okay. So I think we got our 3 different kind of styles in one app. Do you want to roll for them, or do you want to see if we can try to combine all 3 of them together? Because I'm just kind of chucking suggestions. I don't want to be the only one always
We
having
can
to do
roll.
it.
We'll divide this 6-sided by 2, and number 1 will be the horror Creature Commando type. Number 2 will be sci-fi, and number 3 will be apocalyptic. And we get okay. That's 2. So that is sci-fi. All right. Here we go. We will do a sci-fi version of rolling the 10-sided to see who we get. Ooh, number 8, and I forgot who number 8 is. It is
American Eagle.
Oh, or Cyberpunk. Oh, see, now you're coming in with the good ideas after we roll.
Oh,
You man, you
okay,
got to
'cause
type
that-
faster, man. You got
Come
to
on,
type.
guys. Now, I will
Oh,
say that Cyberpunk does dive into the realms of sci-fi, so we can play
Yeah.
off of that notion if we need to. Because
Absolutely.
my big bag booty behind definitely is going to be showing that one off for sure.
All right. American Eagle. Now, American Eagle. Now, is this the just so I'm make sure I'm thinking about the right American Eagle? Is this the Captain America-ish style dude with the mask and everything, or is this the Flying Birdman American Eagle?
Let me double check on that because I actually have the site pulled up because I never really get out of this thing given what I do. Okay, so oh shoot, I should have specified which one. So we're gonna make this fun we're gonna make it a little bit more interesting here, right? So all right, that's 1. Okay, so then we have 2, and then what is that's number 3. Okay, so I think this one's gonna definitely be okay. We can go. There's 3 different American Eagles. So we're going to create a sci-fi interpretation of the public domain character of the American Eagle. Now, the thing is, in the public domain, there are 3 public, domain interpretations of the American Eagle. And it goes as follows. There's one by Charlton Comics, the creators of Peacemaker, Blue Beetle, and Plastic Man and stuff like that. There's also the American Eagle by Nedor, Nedor, Nador Comics. And then there's another one of American Eagle done by Prize Comics. Now, the one done by Prize is more Native American in appearance. The American Eagle by... Yeah, I feel like that one could be very touchy.
Just because it feels kind of derivative and I don't think was done with the best of intentions at the time.
I
And
mean, you're not wrong there. And I mean, the idea of like maybe trying to take that character and maybe make it better, I don't know. That's still a rough. That's like a that's
well,
a
and he didn't really have a whole lot of story. He was in one story and was trying to make peace between the tribes and the white man, and which I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of like there's not a lot to work with there.
there's not a lot to bite
And
into as much by the
yeah,
other
it
ones.
kind of feels
So
like an Uncle Tom to me, sort of, and I don't want to do
okay,
that.
so then we
Especially
have the
when
one
it
by
gets
Tarleton,
late,
and then we have the
right?
one by Nador. I feel like it's the one by Nador, which is the one that has the really weird costume of like it has a red and white stripes, blue on the top, blue as the legs. I'll send the image to you here because it's a
But he's
doozy.
got powers, right? If I remember right.
Yes. Here, so if anything, we're gonna go off of this one. So instead of rolling for it, we got this one here. So, American Eagle by Nador Comics. The origin for this character is in a remote mountain laboratory. Timid scientist Tom Standish is assisting Dr. Wolf's experiment in creating a human serum that can mimic the strength and buoyancy of an eagle while trying to put
The
a
buoyancy.
I kid you not, that's what it says.
Oh, I know. I read it today. Like it's so weird.
It's so wacky. But the costume, in my opinion, is even wackier. I mean, do you have the image of this character, or do you want me to send it to you?
Oh, I've seen it. I'm trying to pull it up, but
Here, I got it for
it
you right
is
now. I got you. Here it is.
not
It
giving me
is
the
the
right.
worst in my. Oh, weirdly enough, I actually did draw this character, and I am
That's
so
right.
glad that I can actually touch on this topic again because Lord knows this character needs some justice. That costume is yowza. That is
Yeah,
a
it's a
that is a costume.
that is a costume. He's got two fins on his head, or is that
I
his
don't get
cape?
it. I don't get it. So it's a cape. I think that's supposed to mimic like the feathers. I don't know. That's a doozy of a character there.
See, and I know that there is a character. I was trying to find him today because I thought it was American Eagle, but he didn't show up in any of the versions on PD Heroes, and I know I've seen him on there before. I looked up Bald Eagle, and it wasn't that. But I know there was a guy in an eagle suit with wings, and he had come up with like some special aluminum that was super light that he could make these big stiff wings out of that let him
I
glide.
think I know which character you're talking about. I think it might be. Is it War Eagle?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that is it because
Let me
I
double check on that one.
could not find him.
Because I know that I'm telling you, the world of the public domain, it's wacky and it's weird and it's everything in between. Let me see. War Eagle. Yes, it's War Eagle. It looks like an actual eagle of a character. And
Yeah,
with the type of paralysis of a child, but
basically
he
has a
undergoes
big
an
stiff
intense
wing
physical.
glider on his back.
Yeah, and he looks like an act. See,
Yeah.
that should have been American
Yeah.
Eagle. Because that looks like, anyways. But anyways,
Yeah,
outside of that,
absolutely.
this is the
That great
character.
idea.
But the whole point of
This
Roper
is the
here
one
is that
we're
we're
doing,
actually
though. We're
trying to
doing-
challenge ourselves.
Mhm.
We're doing this little guy right over here. So we're going to take this character of American Eagle and we're going to try to advance him, enhance him, or fix him up, or play into the whacked out style. Because I know that Alex Ross, the artist who did, I think, the Kingdom Come books for DC, I think he definitely did a lot of art pieces of a lot of those public domain characters, especially American Eagle, regardless of how crazy that costume looks. So actually, let me kind of get this on the go here. And now I'm going to be sharing. Please just share this one screen. Of course, it doesn't want to share the one singular screen that I got going on over here. Restream, baby. We love how inconsistent it is. So anyways, so now that we rolled up the setting of a sci-fi situation, and now we ended up rolling the character of American Eagle, I think it's enough time of us. I think this is enough yip yapping and talking. So how about we actually get to the drawing while we yip yap and talk it out?
Absolutely.
You know, because I feel like, yeah, there we go. So, sincere of apologies as I share this screen, and I am no longer eligible to see anyone. The most annoying
That's all
part
right.
about that's like
I'll
anyways,
keep an eye on things for you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So then let me actually do this. Oh yeah,
Let's
for anyone who's seeing all
see.
this green, it's for my little PNG character.
Philip Waters says, hello to all. I do apologize for being a little late to this event. We're glad you're here, Philip. And let's see.
Philip Walters, you
Deadpool says,
never
as
have
a
to
Native American, I'm
apologize.
totally on board with the Native American eagle. Let's see. Interesting and bizarre origin story for a superhero. Indeed. The buoyancy of an eagle, because they're so well known for their floating. Yeah, man, old comics, dude.
They
Like
had no chill.
the Green Llama got like half his power from his knowledge of radioactive salts. Like
See,
seriously?
that character, if we did the Green Llama in an apocalyptic setting, he would have actually been like, okay, I don't know if you heard of this comic series coming out. It's called Geiger, the Geiger universe or whatever, done by Jeff Johns, if I'm incorrect. It's like an apocalyptic superhero setting. I feel like the Green Llama would have been the perfect candidate to live in a like nuclear wasteland if he got his powers from radioactive salts or the knowledge of that. That would have made him such an interesting character.
I mean, he also like did go train as a llama and can tap into the mystical side of things that also give him powers, but then they decided to up the ante with, his knowledge of radioactive salts. And but
Like
then like didn't one of the Flashes get his like the first Flash get his power from like hard water? Somebody got their power from hard water. It never really explained what it was.
I think it was like maybe the first interpretation of the Flash, like the first Golden Age one with the freaking Hermes helmet.
Oh, Deadpool
No?
got himself the Green Llama in a horror setting. There you go, baby. That's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, dealing with
sci-fi.
the like the classic, spiritual side of a horror, having to face them demons. Okay, so for
Okay.
me, so sci-fi. Okay, so I know I funnily enough, I actually have drawn the American Eagle before in again in my earlier days of YouTube. I think I'm not even joking when I say this. I think what kickstarted the entirety of my channel was when I made my own Avengers using characters from the public domain. Now, this was the time where I didn't really like decide to do like a one-to-one like knockoff of said team. Because like I thought the characters that I was using at first felt like the Avengers, but I know that they weren't. Because I had American Eagle on there, I had Black Angel, but then I had Man of Metal. That would have been a good character to have on this list.
I love him.
And then I also had, who else was on there? Oh my God, it's been forever since I've done that whole video. I know it was like Man of Metal, Black Angel, American Eagle. Man, I think it was Captain Courage. Because I think I ended up drawing him with a star on his face. And there was like, I remembered I made up my own original idea of the Hulk that I call the Ogre. And I did that I made a singular video talking about just that character. So I remembered I have worked on like a few of those, but some of them, like, again, I know that some people comment, like, oh, am I ever going to make, this or that kind of character in the public domain? And again, I mentioned that some characters are a little hard to create, now that we are talking about characters in the public domain, some characters are always going to be a little difficult because, again, the way that I say it, they're made more in a modernistic way, especially with Marvel in particular, because their popularity spiked by the 60s and onwards. So those characters aren't going to be in the public domain for a long, long time. But also say, though, it's always fun to find a challenge to kind of find their equivalent here and there. But other times you just got to play into that kind of dynamic, or you got to play into the character itself, And
sometimes some of them are easier to find than others. Like a lot of people made indestructible characters. A lot of people made strong muscle guy characters, after Superman. But then somebody with the power of force fields like the Invisible Woman, that's a lot harder to come by.
Yeah, that one's more like
nearly as many people doing that.
I definitely agree on that, because I definitely feel like with powers that were, especially I would say the ones like since like I guess the creation of Fantastic Four and then onward, powers became much more diverse, because again most of them were all super strength and speed and enhanced agilities and senses and whatnot. So I can see how, like, those powers and abilities tend to be more common. And I think that's also the reason why the DC universe is so easy, I guess, to replicate by that matter, because of how, like, I guess, generic those powers can be. And a majority of characters in the public domain can almost match up to some of the characters in DC.
Yeah, because most of those characters are way older, and people were already trying to rip them off back then, and those characters are now public domain. So there's a lot of characters that are essentially a Superman knockoff or a Batman knockoff, and like people are still doing today, but it was long enough ago that you can use it now. And that's a lot harder to do when that character was made in, say the 80s or the 70s or the 60s or
basically, like, I would say from the 60s onward, because the 50s, you got to also be very careful with, I would say, public domain characters in the 50s, because there was like a really, really different shade of gray in terms of what is and what isn't public domain. Because I would say 40s and below, yeah, you're totally safe, you're good to go. But 60s and above, well, I mean, good luck.
Yeah. And just because the company's dead doesn't mean that somebody doesn't still have the rights to that character and isn't extremely litigious about it. Like the people that have the rights to the Phantom are, from what I hear, very litigious about protecting its rights. And
I think another popular example of a character that is in the public domain but is still bought by a major company that we all know is Blue Beetle. Funnily enough, Blue Beetle, Plastic Man, Peacemaker, those characters were made by Charlton Comics. And those characters in particular, I mean, the company was going to go bankrupt, but then DC is like, fam, we want those ideas. And then they yoinked them out. And then those characters were actually going to be used in the Watchmen of all things. But then DC's like, well, we just got them.
They didn't want him doing that kind of stuff to their characters they were wanting to use. And so, he had to come up with pastiches to fill in the place. Let's see. It was Jay Garrick that had the crazy powers from Hardwater. Let's see. Deadpool says, you made O-Rage and then remade him into the Ogre.
Yes, I did. He was called O-Rage because I wanted to play on the words of orange. But
Little Karen Silva says, I wish I had time. I would love to join. He goes on to say, because apparently he did have time, I had this idea for a knockoff called Fishman. He's super strong, can fly, and has super speed, but he's half fish, so he can't stay out of water for too long or he would dry out and die. Personally, I'll sue you if you use me as a character, Mr. Kyron Silva. Thank you very much. Y'all don't know, but I'm actually waist deep in a tank of water right now so that I don't die while I'm working on this. I have to be very careful not to electrocute myself. Devontae Edwards says, hey ya. And I say, hey ya.
And I say, hey yo, how you doing?
Philip Waters says, the artwork that you two are doing is absolutely amazing. I'm definitely digging the poses of each one of you as your artwork in. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Dragon Gaming says, thanks to you, I did my own rendition of the public domain character Space Hawk, who was a space explorer. It was very interesting. Oh my God, I love those space characters. I have one that I really want to do a story about, and I was about to publish it when TS made me stop and focus on one book. He was like, dude, just which book do you really want to be telling? And I was like, well, that's Alice. He's like, well, why aren't you doing that? I was like, but I have so many ideas. I want to get back to my space character because it's totally a throwback to the good old days when, like, you could be flying through space and roll the window down on your space rocket and wave to it, fly by, Jupiter Ghost on your way, through the Milky Way. Like, when you could just do anything in, like, 50s sci-fi. I freaking love that stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Do you mind explaining what the character's name was, or do you want to still keep that hidden in the off chance you want to ever, like, get onto that book?
I've shown posts before, so if you went back and looked, you would see it. But it's Space Ape. It's this big green gorilla that, like, and stupidly enough, like, it's a monkey that got shot into space, like, back in the space race, and got bombarded with cosmic rays and got flung into the far future and comes out the other side a green gorilla. How that happens through cosmic rays is anybody's guess. But he jumps a couple of rungs sideways on the evolutionary ladder and comes out as a giant green gorilla. But
And we love it
and
for that.
and he wears a mask and everything, so you don't know which green gorilla it is that's saving the day. And very kind of like tongue-in-cheek, oh god, space ghost kind of vibe to it, like just flying through space in his ship, saving the day randomly against random monsters and stuff. And he has a crazy group with him. As I kept working on the idea, he has a girl that takes care of his engine and stuff, very Firefly-esque, who incredibly has the hots for him, and he's oblivious to it. And she's like a giant single-celled organism. She's like just one giant cell that is, all curvaceous and everything, because you got to be. And she's desperately trying to get with him, and he's oblivious to it because he's too busy, heroicizing. And then there's like Murderbot 10,000 that was designed specifically to kill, but they captured it and reprogrammed it. So it's a very surly, angry, mean, helpful robot. That's, first suggestion is always going to be blow them up, nuke them, kill them, chop them into 1,000 pieces. But he can't actually do any of that stuff. So I think it'd just be very funny to have a very mean, angry robot, designed for killing that can't do any of those things.
May I suggest we internalize? It's like, why don't we just suggest the nuclear option? That's my favorite.
Turn that planet to glass. Jordan says you also made Rocket Man.
I did make Rocket Man. I think it was a different rock, because again, some of these characters also, their names tend to mix up a lot, especially.
Oh man, there's so many characters that ended up with very similar names.
Again, like just with the
American, if we got Rocket Man, I absolutely would have given him big honking glasses with the rhinestones. He absolutely would have had that. He would have been very Flash Gordon vibe, but he would have had the glasses. Or goggles. He would have had goggles with rhinestones on them and feathers. Okay.
Wait a minute. I'm really trying not to go off of because again, I remembered I did draw the American Eagle. I just don't know if I'm gonna try not to use that as the old reference and be like, done. No, that's cheating. I already cheated enough once or twice on these Roll for Hero segments, especially with Shelby. Especially when I did Shelbyville, because I was like, I'm gonna choose one color palette. I lied. That color palette was like Easter colors. I'm like, how am I gonna make a steampunk thing out of this? Because all right, I think this works well.
Oh my God.
All right.
Now, questions for the audience. I've got my dude. I've got the body made, but how am I going to sci-fi this up and make this seem like he's a dude from the future who has the indestructibility and buoyancy?
All right, hold on. Actually, let me do some quick research on this.
I wanted to draw him floating, but
I gotta do some research on this. We're all seeing me do the research now. Okay, let me see. American Amazing Grace. There are so many of these things. Where are they? Did I go past the? No way. Nope. There we go. Got Amazing Man. There we go. Here we go. So it is experiments in creating a serum that can mimic the strength and buoyancy of an eagle while trying to put a successful batch of serum in storage. Standish accidentally drops the formula and spills onto I don't even know how to pronounce that word right over there.
A cathode ray tube, I believe.
I think that's how it is, causing it to glow with a strange light. Curious as to how the tube has been changed, Standish inserts the tube into a projector, and his body is instantly bombarded with black light Tom goes to tell Dr. Wolf what happened, but walks in on Dr. Wolf conspiring with fellow Nazis to poison America's water supply. Because this is exactly what we want from the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
World War II. You're either a Nazi or an actual villain. Which is the reason why if I ever did the public domain villains, I was so skeptical on doing those because public domain villains are like, those guys got no chill.
They're so racist for the most part. Like when the public domain was anything during the war is pretty much racist or, just like generic scientist or generic spy. But, there's so much stuff that's really hard to redeem.
It really, really is. I mean, you would have to kind of, I don't even know what you have to do in order to make a character who was the only character I think that got away with still being hated, but also beloved at the same time, but more hated, in my opinion, is Red Skull from Captain America because of the fact that he was once a Nazi, but then now completely falls under a completely different situation. But even at that rate, it's like that one to me is a bit of a touchy topic to a degree. Because again, that's why I'm very hesitant on doing rogues and villains for public domain, for like making villains in the public domain. Because I got a lot of suggestions to make villains for, the Owl, which is my Batman, or Silver Streak, which I wouldn't have mind if I redesigned him in this one. Because at some point I am going to do a revamp or like a remastered idea of that one. But like doing villain characters for, say characters like the heroes that I've done thus far, I'm very, very skeptical because I'm aware that the majority of those guys are of said party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I really don't want to do anything else with books with that particular political party in them anymore. I don't care if the whole book is about punching them. I just don't want to do it anymore because I have drawn more than my fair share of those flags and propaganda stuff. And I don't want to have to search for that anymore. I don't want to have to think about that stuff anymore. I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm good. I don't need no more.
Okay, you know
if
what?
I miss out on a job, so be it. I will miss out on a job.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go on a completely different direction here because I was like going very it's more owl based. Never mind. Let me see if I can kind of work
out. One of you could have him with wings made of energy. That's not a bad idea at all because we're talking sci-fi, man. Okay, and see, and his cape that he got later was designed to help him glide. So that's not a bad twist on it at all. Not bad at all. I like where your head's at, man.
I agree.
Let's see. Philip Waters says cybernetic wings that mimic the real things and features of a bird. Same train of thought there. I'm loving that.
I think I might go that direction.
Villains of said party still fit in today's climate. Yeah, that makes it even worse. That makes it even sadder.
And for me, I will not touch on that topic because I stay away from politics and I just draw men in their underwear beating the crap out of each other.
Yep. I try to. It can be tough, but I try to.
Yes, it can be. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna try to go a little different direction with this one because I'm trying to still for me, I'm actually trying to incorporate the elements of an eagle in his costume. So seeing what I can do with that there, probably giving them them big old eyes, and then making the mouth cover look like the eagle's beak, if you will. Now something that would make it.
I went with the same thing. I went with like a visor that covers his eyes and down his mouth a little bit. That's got like a beak shape to it.
Oh wait, So you're going with the
Mimic this
cyberpunk vibe, right? Because I'm also going for that.
sort of, yeah. I mean, sort of retro futuristic, sort of a little bit cyberpunk.
Okay, I'm gonna probably do the like the, I guess you could say, the dark and edgy kind, where it's like, I am gonna be the brooding eagle of the night, kind of a whole mentality there. I guess I would have to say, you know what? I know motorcycle armor might be something interesting that we can dive into. Maybe
I
he
am
was.
the eagle that flies through America. I am the patriot that punches Nazis.
I am the American Eagle.
I wish I could do a good eagle scream. They kept trying to get me to do it when I was doing the rounds for the Mighty Call and all the podcasts. Like, give me your best call, screech. And I was like, yeah,
What the heck was that?
that's pretty much about the best I can do. It sounds like a chicken.
I could sound like a proper chicken.
I mean, I'll give it my gusto and all, but like I'm not gonna sound like a screeching eagle. Like I just don't happen to have that skill set. I can do a lot of things. I can talk in some silly voices and I can say some stupid stuff, but that's one thing I'm so glad to have you on the show with me now, because I mean, things get weird, but not nearly as weird as they got with me on here by myself. Because the stories got way deeper sometimes, way heavier, and sometimes I just started talking to myself in stupid voice.
Oh yeah. Sometimes
I used to really love doing the doddering old man bit until I actually got old. And I used to love to like talk like an old man and mix things up like an old man. Like back in the day, I would be like, well, I was scrolling on the interwebs and I saw an interesting thing on the my face. And, and just, it was funny. Now that I'm old, people just like groan and roll their eyes and like, oh my God, this boomer. I'm like, dude, I'm not that old, but it's not as ironic anymore now that my hair's gone and my beard's gray as it used to be. Let's see. Little Kyron Silva says men in their underwear beating the crap out of each other. Are we talking comic books or wrestling now? No, yes. Kyron, this isn't an OnlyFans page you can subscribe to and throw millions of dollars. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the funny books. Philip says, oh, Esteban, your design reminds me a little bit of the Batman Beyond suit.
Batman Beyond suit? Oh, wait a minute. Listen, I'm trying my best to stay consistent. Y'all are doing this to me.
Now, that's a good idea right there. Take a steer that direction.
Oh, yeah. All right, actually, you know what? Oh, how dare you toss that suggestion, because I'm totally going to do that now. I'm stealing that idea. Who suggested that again? Because, again, I couldn't see because I'm blinded by everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're blinded by the light. Philip Waters.
Philip Walters, buddy. First of all, to Philip, to you. Philip, the person who sends, you never have to apologize. My videos are out for whenever. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. I appreciate the fact that you take the time out of your day to enjoy the content that I put out there. And I'm glad that you comment. I am glad that you like, you comment, and I'm so glad you subscribed. I need to say that first and foremost. I am extremely grateful and thankful for you. So you don't ever have to worry about being late for a post that I make or doing this. Don't worry. I love and appreciate you, Philip Walters. I may not know what you look like.
You have to worry about me. I will cut you out so quick for being like cutthroat fishy. That's what they call me on the street.
Philip Walters is a dedicated individual to my channel, and to that I am thankful and so grateful for Philip Walters. Love you. All right, your uncle, he loves you. Anyways, back to me having to draw a man in a cybernetic eagle suit, because that totally makes sense in today's day and age. You know, comic books make you say things that honestly, I'm not even sure how we even get to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it especially like some of the older public domain stuff gets really weird, which is fun, but you know, and some of it like I totally like get where they were coming from, especially at the time and with the inspirations around them at the time. I'm like, oh yeah, I totally see how you got there. Other things, I'm like, man, what was in your head when you came up with that?
What were you taking? Where can I obtain it? Because clearly we're not on the same thinking spectrum.
Okay, I'm digging.
All right, sorry, I got a little too aggressive there, everybody. Sorry.
I'm
I
picking
do
up.
apologize for my aggressive nature. I don't mean to hurt or harm anybody.
It doesn't mean to scare anybody, little Karen. Don't take off running, Karen.
I'm sorry, Kyron. I'm sorry. Anyways.
Well, sorry, I almost accidentally blocked Philip. Sometimes if you click in the wrong spot, you get the wrong reaction. Philip Walter says, thank you so much, Esteban, and I appreciate your wonderful, wonderful words. I might have added a wonderful. I might not. You will never know because you can't see.
All right, now I'm gonna have to see just to prove. All right, thanks. All right, cool. I had to double confirm because listen, my manager screws with me on my own job way too many times in a fun way. All right, he's a fun dude. If he's watching,
Ooh, I'm telling fiance.
all righty. I'm trying to see. It's the silhouette of the eagle. If that, I don't know if I should keep that or I should make him like a weird. You know, maybe this could work to an extent. I think that could work. Maybe we should probably put a star on his chest to kind of signify his American nature. And then, of course, knowing that it's cyberpunk, we got to add all that crazy cyberpunk insanity over there. The Batman Beyond thing, I don't know why I didn't think of that, man. So thank you.
I know. I'm kind of mad I didn't think of that too, because that would have been cool. Now, see, that is an idea that y'all need to keep in your back pocket for next time we're looking for a theme. Batman Beyond would be a great one. We were talking about the idea of doing like themes and like what would it be like to do them in like, you know, Justice League Unlimited or, you know, He-Man. But I was, for some reason, like all I could think of were like He-Man and Scooby-Doo and Thundercats. I couldn't think of any modern cartoons. I couldn't even think of Teen Titans at the time. I don't know why. I can only think of stuff.
Like us? But then is it really like putting it in the setting, or is it just then changing the character for a style? Because you know the He-Man and shows similar to that happen to have a titular, you know, aesthetic or a visual, you know, look to them. Yes, but then how many like, you know, cartoons could you really go with? You know, because like Hanna-Barbera has their
thing though. Each one has like a totally different vibe to it. So like the character would be, I would think, would be completely different in that world. You know, like if we're fitting it into like Scooby-Doo, then you know this is clearly a dude in a mask pretending to be this character, and how is he pulling that off, and how's he making it work, how's he convincing everybody that he has said power, you know, with crazy cartoon logic. Or like if it's He-Man, then you know it's going to be a mix of fantasy and sci-fi with a really big muscle-bound dude, which, you know, suddenly changes the whole thing. Or if it was like Batman Beyond, then, you know, okay, then it's going to definitely have a more cyberpunk vibe to it, and maybe, you know, there's a little more toxic mutation added in or something because of pollution and stuff at that time, and you know.
Oh dang, you're going really in on that one. I love your design. That is really awesome, man.
Thank you. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I've kind of surprised myself with the mix of standard things I put together that I've used before, but I really like the way it's coming out on this one.
Now here's where it gets fun because I know that we are currently still in the sketching phases of our characters and whatnot. But do we want to try to utilize the old comic characters' colors, or do you want to just try to go completely different? I feel like your character can definitely use the original color palette to its advantage because it's not really like a full eagle aesthetic from what I'm looking at. Like, yes, you can tell that there was like bird-like elements, but I feel like you can still use the red, white, blue, the touch of purple, a hint of yellow here and there. I feel like that can be applicable to
Oh
yours.
yeah, that's what I was going for, was something that could still feel very American flagish um,
Yeah.
type dude.
And for mine, I guess I just kind of made him a weird Batman Beyond eagle looking kind of guy. Since I kind of went with that notion a little bit. Because then I don't know if I can ever play on the red, the white, or the blue part there, unless he's like a
You
patriotic.
could,
I
and
guess.
you could change the like the hue of it if you need to, and make it a more muted version. But I think like like especially when you've got it like across the shoulders, and then the majority of the body, like I was seeing from one, like that could be really cool if like his shoulders and up were blue and his bodysuit was red, or
Oh,
something like that.
oh, this one's gonna probably have different color variants for sure. Kind of like Batman's suit, and everyone's debating whether or not that
Oh
thing's
yeah.
gonna be like black or blue, a bit of both, a bit of less.
Oh,
Here's the
speaking of public
yeah.
domain characters and variant suits and all that stuff, if anybody goes and looks up the Sentinels issue 12 pre-launch page, available now on Kickstarter, and follows it, and if they back the book, even at the digital level, they will get to read it. And there is a character, Raven. I'm I think he's an original character, but I could be wrong. He could be a public domain redesign. Uh, I'm not sure. I think he's an original character, but I could certainly be wrong on that. But anyway, he's just gotten home after this big long multiversal travel, and he's in his Raven's Nest, in his big tower penthouse that he lives in, and he's checking up on all the crime that's been going on since he left. And in the background, behind him, very small, there is a collection of other suits on hangers in a room behind his computer room, behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really look in there, there's like a blue Arctic suit with like furry fringe around the head. There's like a camouflage suit. You can't see it because it's behind him, but I did draw out like a highlight suit with the big scoop on the hand where they throw the ball in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I did. Oh, there's a scuba suit with like flippers on it. There's a space suit with a big round bubble space helmet on it. All kinds of stuff.
All for the action
Uh,
figure possibilities.
Oh yeah, just all those weird, crazy action figure variants of Batman that he would never wear, but it's like oh yeah, this is from Batman the Animated Series, and it's the rainbow suit. He's not going to wear that in Batman the Animated Series, but they still would sell it.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
especially given that rainbow suit. I think they're going to imply that they're going to apply that rainbow suit in the game because it's obviously a reference to the comic where in order for
yeah,
him to make sure that nobody notices that Robin has a broken arm, he wears different colored like bat suits. He'll wear like a pink one, a yellow one, or a red one,
yeah.
just so people are like, what the heck is
Because
going
two
on
kids
here?
in town couldn't have broken arms at the same time. It would have been easier to just go around and pay some kids to wear casts for a week. And, that would have been easier than dressing up in all those costumes.
But then
I
how
was
would
going
we
to say
imply
go
that
around and
Batman
break a
has
bunch of kids'
money?
arms, but Batman wouldn't do that. Jordan says, "Hey Esteban, could your character's emblem be an eagle?" That's a good question, Jordan.
You know what? Because I'm
Um,
thinking about that, but he's already kind of being the eagle, if you will. Like his overall suit design, like his head frame to his shoulders is supposed to represent like the neck portion of the eagle, right? And then the rest of the body is kind of like that.
so you're saying too spot on, which I could see.
Oh, yeah, I'm not against the idea because I'm trying to incorporate the star and the I was trying to incorporate the star
The
and
eagle.
like the letter A to show off the idea of like American Eagle. I remember doing it before. Again, I have drawn the American Eagle before. Actually, where is, you know what? No, hold up. I do have it here. On one
Philip
of the backs
Walter
of,
says, "Mr. Dot Fish Dot, your design reminds me of a costume from Got a Man or Power Rangers vibe. I absolutely stole the visor idea from Gotcha Man, 100%. G-Force was my jam as a kid, as it was called on my local TV station. And I
found it.
freaking
Oh,
love it."
here it is.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Hitting on some very similar vibes. Almost like the same dude designed it.
Yeah,
Cedric
exactly.
says, "I remember your American Eagle drawing. He had a star on his face. But that was before we found the picture."
No, I think I know which one he's talking about. I think it was before I did this rendition of the character, and I think I tried playing on the idea of the red, white, and blue aesthetic of it. I think
Mhm.
out of all public domain characters, I think I did this one 3, maybe 4 different times. The first rendition, I was trying to play into the whole flag aesthetic of the colors, doing the red, white, and the blue, like using the stripes, like around his body and here and there. And I did put
Yeah.
the star on his head to where it was a star and the letter A. That's what I did remember doing. So now that I actually have at least a bit of the reference to go off of, I'm still gonna apply the Batman Beyond cyberpunk kind of an aesthetic with this, but I'm also gonna relatively just do it's the chest logo that I really needed more than anything else, because I was like, I kind of had the idea, but I'm like, how did I execute it? That's why I didn't want to go back and forth trying to find and then wasting some time here, because I know we're not on a time frame, but at least just wanted to try something out here. All right, let's see, because I know I did the letter A. So it looked like a combination of a star and the actual eagle itself. So, because that makes sense. Because it's America. This would have been a perfect 4th of July episode. I'm not even going to lie.
Dadpool says, "I think that was Captain Courageous."
Yes, this was on the mini comic of Captain Courageous that I made for a mini comic Monday. Actually was about, my take on Captain America fighting off his interpretation of Red Skull. And the original idea was that I was going to kind of build up my own little cinematic universe, if you will, or my little mini comic universe. And I was going to like tie it in. So like this was supposed to be the next character that I was supposed to do. It was supposed to be American Eagle. But again, I started taking a different direction when then I realized just redesigning the characters was already more of a popularized thing. Who knows? I might actually tackle on the idea of doing mini comic Mondays again. Only time will tell.
I would like to see you do it because I think it was a brilliant idea. But I also get sometimes you got to do what's getting the views.
Oh yeah. Right, we were getting to, okay, so now I kind of got the idea. So definitely going more, again, I guess it's just like the way that I would design a superhero. All right. So it's part star, part wing. Part star, eagle, wings, guns. It's America, baby. Gotta love it. There we go. And then with that chest logo, we will then just take that, add that bit right over there. And then we'll just do that. Perfect. Kind of make
Oh, that's why it's not working.
There we go. Yeah. But to an extent, I will see if I can do those rogues gallery videos. I know that a lot of people really want to see like my take on some specific characters, like whole rogue gallery, whole words. How do they work? I'll never know. I'm the guy making comic books. I have to be literate, and sometimes I'm illiterate. If my little sister, if my sister's looking at me now, she's like, "Yeah, he can't speak for nothing." Gotta love it.
No, nothing. All right, what color are we gonna make that, Mr. Fish?
All right.
That's what.
You know what? There we go.
Let's do.
All right, I think I got my concept down, and now we're just gonna do this. Honestly, this looks more like a typical crime, like a typical run-of-the-mill superhero, like a run-of-the-mill crime-fighting kind of guy.
Typical run-of-the-mill crime-fighting kind of guy. Deadpool says, I love the quirky and unique characters from the mini comics. I did too. I thought that was great.
Oh yeah, especially Unicorn Girl. That one was a fun one. That was a bit of a fun one. Getting to design the little villain and the original character. So here's a little fun fact for some of y'all out there. So in 2019, I did this. I ended up going to a college, and unfortunately, I got kicked out. It was just due to some miscommunications with my paperwork. And mind you, I was in the state of Alabama. I don't have any family up there, so I'm like staying around with very few people. And I'm like, crap, what's going on? So I was not in the best position. So to kind of distract myself from me being sad and all that other kind of fun stuff, I started drawing a bunch of these little random characters. And one of them actually was, like at first I was drawing like this little knockoff Spider-Man, Tom Holland looking thing without it really being a spider character and whatnot. It was like in this super cartoony style. And then eventually I kept drawing more characters, that fit this kind of overall vibe. And one of those characters happens to be like the early interpretation of Unicorn Girl over here. And not only that, but that also kind of segued into me creating my very first book of The Unbeatables. Like I then came up with the title of The Unbeatables while I was up in Alabama. And I'm like, I'll probably keep this on the back burner. And then eventually in 2023, something clicked in me. And I'm like, all right, I got to draw a comic because I'm getting sick and tired of just working and not doing anything. And then I sat down. I woke up at 2:30 every morning, had to walk to work because I didn't have a car. And then I just kept drawing my comic nonstop until I managed to get it done. Awkwardly went to Kablam and their headquarters, which was, again, something you don't do.
But you did. That's exactly something you do. I remember you did it.
I did it as well, and I was so nervous, and especially because when your dad is your dad and your manager at the same time, that's a wild ride. Oh, let me tell you. There we go.
Yeah, it's got to be hard when your dad loves you and supports you and believes in your dreams. I don't know how you make it.
My father's a very extroverted person too, so for him, that's not really hard to kind of be like, "Hey, we got a bit of a situation." I'm like, "Oh God, I feel so nervous. I feel like a kid." And again, it's those moments where I feel like I'm a kid who's in trouble, but not really in trouble, kind of a thing. I don't know. It's just my mentality on the situation. But other than that,
my son definitely takes advantage of my gregarious nature a lot. He was telling me it's been harder for him at the last couple of cons he's gone to because he's so used to relying on me to break the ice and talk to people and stuff. And he can sit there and be a part of the conversation without actually having to do anything. And now all of a sudden he can't do that no more because I'm not there. And he's having to have conversations by himself with people and and say, hey, I like your artwork, or, whatever his question is to get it started. Like, yeah, that stinks, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud you out there doing it. I had to learn to do it too. I scared the crap out of it.
But all to say that without the concept of Unicorn Girl, or at least those early heroes, I wouldn't be where I'm at today at all with the Unbeatables. I wouldn't even have this. I wouldn't even be here having the luxury of getting to meet Mr. Fish and half of not any of anyone I've ever met, in that whole comic, creation space, Little did I know.
It all comes around.
Comes around, goes
Oh
around.
man, if I hadn't taken on that piddly little comic job inking for a book that almost nobody read, and nobody remembers, for $30 a page inking this artwork that I really had to. Luckily, the penciler was very open to me fixing a lot of things,
Mhm.
because there's just a lot of heads that were wonky or eyes that were, didn't match up on the same plane and things, and ladies that look like guys. And so I fixed it. And this was like 6 years ago. So like my art wasn't as good as it is now. And but he was okay with letting me work on it and fix some things. And I really appreciate his spirit of collaboration on that. And because of that, I made friends with one of my best buddies in indie comics, and because of him, I have a career. Because when everything hit the fan, he he marshaled everybody together to come help and support me and help find me work, and I will forever, ever, ever, ever love and appreciate him for that. Man, he is the bomb, and he's the kind of guy I want to be for somebody else in indie comics. And so, yeah, I'm. And it's just that one random book that I just so happened to make friends with the letterer on, and now thanks to him, I have a career doing what I've always wanted to do, and that's pretty cool, man. All right.
You gotta love comics. They can bring people together. They can create such
I think it
unique.
break your heart, baby.
You gotta love comics, baby. It's the one media where you can literally tell practically anything in any way, shape, and form. And almost quite literally in any way, shape, or form.
So,
Comic book
and
media,
then,
baby. You gotta love it. Now, funnily enough, I actually still have those old concepts that I once made for, I guess, the early stages of the Unbeatables. The only character that actually survived the whole like creation process from like when it first was made was the character that I call Buggy. She's like the little, I guess in my book, the little spider girl adjacent kind of character. She was the only character that survived the creation process from beginning till now. That is the that is the only character that has survived the test of time in all of that.
I would have thought, oh,
The
what
black and
is
white.
he? The Power Man dude
Yep.
with the on switch, but I would have
Yep.
thought he would have been.
Now he was actually a character I made when I was 12. That was one of my first superheroes, but I never really got to crack down on his story because I kept changing it so many times. He was one of those
Mm.
kind of characters, the one that you had like for way too long. You're like, what do I do with you?
Oh
You
yeah,
know. But
yeah.
eventually,
My character. Oh, go ahead. Finish your idea.
I was gonna say because once I started working on the Unbeatables, I'm like, I have to put him in this book because if I don't do it, like I'm gonna be mad at myself that I made a book without the one hero character that I busted my butt having to draw like nonstop. I drew like 15,000 different superhero suit design concepts, and eventually I stuck with the idea of him being a black and white style kind of hero. And then that symbol, the little power button symbol, I haven't seen that on any superhero to my knowledge. So I'm like, I need to be the guy to make that character. Someone probably already has done it, but I needed to do it, at least for my sake.
I can dig it, man. I was gonna say my character Capital Punishment has gone through a lot of changes over the years, and has been a lot of different things over time, trying to find the thing that fits for him and isn't just like a Captain America knockoff, but like what made him unique. And honestly, the one thing that finally did it was time, and the fact that like like Steve Rogers, he was a propaganda hero in World War II. But now that is so long ago that now he's just a very old man. And that brought about its own set of things. And like my stepdad fought in World War II. He was 20 years older than my mom. So he was a pretty old dude when I was in high school. And he was still built like a tank, though, man. He got up every morning and did his calisthenics they taught him in basic training. And dude was built like an ox. We were playing around one day and he just playfully tapped me on the jaws. We were like play fighting back and forth, laid my butt on the ground. Like I hit that kitchen floor like a sack of potatoes and realized right then and there that like if he really put some power into that, I would not have woken up
To think that was
anytime
him
soon.
playfully talking. That was him playfully kind
Oh
of
yeah.
hassling around there. Imagine
That was
full
just
power.
being silly with the boy. That wasn't putting any work into it. And yeah, he was he was a tough old bird. And but I mean, very sweet, very kind, very opposite of who Capital Punishment is. But the thought of just this old dude that was just too ornery to die, and there was an Elseworld story where all of Krypton came to Earth instead of just Superman,
Mm.
and Batman was part of the resistance against the Kryptonian overlords, and but because of their altruistic beliefs or whatever, they thought they were being kind. Every time they broke his body, they would just like staple it and fix it back together again. So he was in constant pain all the time.
Jeez.
And that always stood out to me as and in this story he was older, and that helped really influence the idea of him just being this mean old cat that's just too mean to die and won't give up and won't quit. And he didn't have to be, at one point in his story he was like the the cosmic arbiter of justice for this demon that weighed out what was right and wrong and whatnot. Like I took him in so many different directions trying to find the right place to fit him in somewhere, but ultimately just being the dude that's too mean to die and too mean to give up made him an interesting character, and now I really like him.
I may be down, but I ain't dead yet, boy.
And just the thought of like, you know, my friend has a character who's very much a Russian Superman. Uh, he was the people's hero for a long time until he realized that everything wasn't as perfect as they were telling him it was. And then he went out to be the world's hero. And so I love him. It's Steel Wolf, one of my absolute favorite indie characters, who also has a book live now on Kickstarter that really needs help getting funded. So y'all should go check out Steel Wolf and Aurora Man. But I absolutely love that character so much, and I did a series of pages with him in Capital Punishment, where Capital Punishment's just like breaking his fist, punching this dude in the face, gets thrown through a wall and all this stuff, and just will not quit and keeps getting up. And the whole time, Steel Wolf is like, "Comrade, please, you cannot take any more of this. Please stop. This doesn't do anybody any good. You are your people's hero for whatever reason. We shouldn't be fighting." He's like, "I don't have to listen to capes like you," and just breaking his hands. And he's like, "You think that's the first time my hand's been broken? Oh, get ready, son."
You think this is my first rodeo? I doubt it.
Nobody said he was smart, but he's
Resilient.
he doesn't quit. We'll give him that. He's got that going for him.
He's got that indomitable human spirit.
Yeah.
Or
Honoring
the
his hell. That's what they used to
or the American dream on his shoulders.
Yeah. And I did a series of strips for Kid in a Comic with him where he it just follows him at night in this bar where he tries to drink himself unconscious every night because of all the PTSD and stuff over the years. And he gets drunk and starts to have flashbacks and stuff and can't really necessarily tell what's going on now from the good old days, and has two former henchmen that hang out with him for free every night just to guard him and guard people from him and make sure he stays safe, even though you find out as the strip goes on, like, he's absolutely the reason one dude lost his wife and his ears are all cauliflowered. He's the reason another dude lost his eye, but yet they're there every night for free, guarding him, getting their butts kicked in the process. And there's an interesting story as to why, but that's for another book that I'm working on with T.S. Luther that I hope will see the light of day one day.
All right. I don't know if I'm going to say I'm done with my guy, but I like to think I am. Because I at least got...
I like to think I'm an elephant, but I'm not.
Because I feel like there's more. But sometimes less is more. Words you got to go by, kid. Sometimes if it's too much, it's too much. Sometimes if it's a little too little, it actually might be the right amount.
Let's see. Dragon Gaming said, I believe, speaking of yours, he could have a new catchphrase saying something like, "The American eagle will always fly for truth, liberty, and justice, and all that is the American dream." And Cedric says, I did my own rendition of Cloak, but I combined him with Spider-Man from Cloak and Dagger.
Gotta love it.
Dadpool says, yes, I still think about Edgelord to this day.
Yep.
Philip Walter says, Esteban, that is an awesome logo design.
Thank you.
Cedric says, I'm at work looking at this video. I'm calling your boss, man. Me and your boss are like this. Boss, I said, because I call him boss because we go way back. Man, Cedric be watching my show instead of work. Philip says, Mr. Fish, I'm really digging the design of the wings that you created. Thank you, man.
Oh, wow. Because I haven't really been taking the time because I was so focused on mine. But, man, the way that you're going at it, see, that is how you do an American Eagle cyber style, because, for me, I went so into the Batman Beyond thing. But you know what? Let me.
I like it. I like the retro futuristic kind of vibe. I like the almost like it's made out of real clothes, sort of like I was going for futuristic clothes, like he got some biker pants and jacket and fancied them up, but has these digital wings that he can unfurl to glide on and fly. And originally I was just going to have him sticking to the being nigh invulnerable and leaping, and that's why I was going to have him on the side of the building. But once they mentioned the wings, the thought of him leaping up there and then taking off and gliding on these glowing holographic wings is just too cool an idea to pass up.
All right, I'm gonna see, because let me show off myself real quick. As of course I had my face. Now I'm gonna see if I could do the alternate colors, if you will, because again, I've done too much of the classic cape crusading kind of an idea of a costume here.
I had to move us so I could see it because my camera's in the way there. It doesn't matter if I can't see myself on camera. I know who I are. Oh, that looks cool. I like that. I like that. I mean, that's cool. That's got a good eagle feel, but that red, white, and blue, man, that's bald eagle, American pride. That is.
We'll see. Hold on. Let me try out something here. Because I also the blue hits hard. The blue hit. Ooh.
Yeah.
The blue is hitting. Now, again, trust me, there's actually one character where I keep going back and forth on the design of because of how
I
often
like
I have.
the red, but the blue and white is tight. I've got a lot of blue and white characters, so I'm kind of probably not the right person to judge on that. But
Well,
I loved the red too.
hold on, because let's see how that
So
purple
it
kind of
kind of
looks.
looks like Homelander at one point there, a little bit. Okay, now that looks like the Darkwing Duck version. Like, I mean, not to make fun of it, but that
No,
looks like
but I
the
totally
I
see
am
it
the
though.
eagle that strikes in the night. Like that,
Oh,
he's got
I can
that
totally see
that
him having like.
dark
I think
vibe.
I guess if there would be like a headcanon concept for it, I can totally see that this American Eagle would actually like have, I guess, like, because for me, one of my favorite ideas, if I can't have a favorite color for like a particular kind of character, I'll then convert the idea of like, oh, what if it's a color changing suit? Like Powerful, aka the main character that I've drawn since I was 12. I had no idea what color to make a suit, and I tried drawing that suit in so many different styles, and I tried coloring it in like a few different ways, but I always kept going back to the black and white. But there were times where I was going to add like red or blue or yellow, this, that, whatever, and I'm like, it's not really enough. So eventually I was kind of stuck with the monochrome aesthetic because I guess it was just because it worked better that way. But I like the purple on this. I do, but I guess like purple's a royal color, It's color of royalty, and America is totally against royalties and such. Monarchies are not of the American way.
Monarchies are frowned upon.
Monarchies are
This is-
frowned upon. Let's see. Maybe we can kind of play a little bit more with the ideas here. Maybe adding blue, potentially. Oh, okay.
See,
Yeah.
now that's kind of what I was thinking of is if his shoulders up were blue and the rest of him down was red, one piece, but you got those cool gloves on. I wonder what it'd be like if his body was red and his boots and gloves were gold, like claws.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of playing on. That the little red, like the little stripes here on the side, those would actually be the like the eagle's like talon adjacent like legs in a way, and that plays on his boots and the gloves. So this is kind of what I got in
I kind
mind.
of like that, and it doesn't hit the Blue Falcon vibe yet because he had the blue bird suit with gold boots and stuff, but
Mm.
the red really keeps it from looking like Blue Falcon.
Okay, now hold on, because I also didn't add the white onto there. Hmm. Hmm.
What if he had a white patch down the middle of his suit? What would that look like?
Like down on the what's it called? Like down over here.
Yeah, like down the center of his body there was white.
Oh, he just looks like a Power Ranger now.
Oh yeah, he absolutely does.
Oh, he's one of those like those the early Super Sentai kind of characters. Oh, what? Because I know there's like an entire team of like bird themed Sentai Rangers. I am diving into the realms of all of that. Oh my god! If I took this to a common writer perspective, this would have been an entirely different character.
Oh man. And talk
Common
about your
writer.
sci-fi. Like that would have
No, that would have been
that would
hardcore. This feels like I feel like this here. I feel like your rendition of the American Eagle is like a proper. I guess the way to say it would be like yours is definitely like the roguish, like actually fighting for the American way, the resistance and whatnot. While mine's feels like a properly curated, Americanized, I feel like this is something that America would pull up and it's like, okay,
he
we
looks
need this.
like he was sent out by the establishment to save the day and spread the American way.
Maybe add yellow. Because then it lets the whites still kind of pop out a little bit. Big conflictions here. Big conflictions. Let me see if I can try something else here. Oh, this is the part that it's always like, this is a lot of fun because I always get to like mix and match the colors to kind of see where I can go from there. You know what I mean? There is actually one character that I have.
It's the hardest part for me is the really figuring out like what colors are you going to use and what are you going to do.
Okay, this one feels like a safer option in a way. Yeah, let me get this one out of the way. Now we to think this is what the public domain rendition is over here, and then we got, you know, whatever, a vastly different design. I don't know. It's a little hard to tell. It's a lot of fun, but it's also really hard. It's like really trying to choose the actual like character color and whatnot. Because I could go with the more classic, eagle colors. I feel like this would be like a fun base suit, and then from there, like the colors could change onto like, oh, here's the more patriotic, because I can say words.
Oh, you are so good at wording, man.
Exactly. I have my fiance to thank for that. This is really hard. I'm really having a hard time actually choosing it because I like the blue. Hello. It's my Discord over there. What's going on in the realms of Discord? While I'm streaming, people, come on. While we're doing roll for here.
Don't y'all pay attention to what I'm doing 24/7?
Y'all
are supposed to be my fan base. Come on, people.
Come on, people. It's really hard, but I think I'm going to stick with this one for now because honestly, this is pretty solid. I think this is the best I can do right now. Again, I like the base eagle design because it is like an actual eagle. But this one is like, this one screams America.
America!
America! But I'm not going to go from there. Anyways.
This is easy.
Yeah, I think this one would have to do. Again, it still keeps the blue aesthetic. You know what? Without myself even knowing it, it also kind of pays a touch of homage to the original design because it is blue on the top, as well as, like my character design has the blue on the top. Same situation over there. The blue isn't on the bottom for the legs, which actually, just for good old kicks and giggles, let's just see how this looks if I decide to do the blue on the legs. It's too much blue. I think that works better right there. I think I officially have my design. This is my official, I guess more high society, not I guess the grungy cyberpunk aesthetic of it. I feel like mine definitely just feels more something straight out of a proper comic book more than anything else. So I guess it really didn't add into the sci-fi aspect because I tried going Batman Beyond, but no. You win some, you lose some. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does.
Sometimes it comes out better than you expected, and sometimes you get that. No, I'm playing. I like it. I mean, does it feel super sci-fi? It definitely feels more sci-fi than the dude with the flaps on his head.
That is definitely very true.
Feels more sci-fi than that
in comparison to the original, yeah, the original one definitely looks like this definitely looks like if Ma Kent really just had early phase super suits before she got to Superman's and she wasn't doing so well. This one feels like it was properly curated through a team of some kind.
I had a pattern for a dragon costume and it had those flaps on the head. And I thought, well, what if you went with a theme? Just hear me out. Instead of underwear on the outside of your breeches, what if we did flaps on your head and you went, grr, I'm a scary dragon. You wouldn't really be a dragon, but you'd look like one. Okay, Ma. Yeah, sure. That'll, okay, maybe. We'll put that in the maybe pile, Ma.
Oh, for sure. Hold on. We have these drawings are absolutely stunning, totally awesome. Well done, both of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And then we also have from Philip being like, Esteban, think of Super Sentai Jetman. Now, because of that, I'm going to look up Super Sentai Jetman. just a Super Sentai Jetman. Yes. Oh, that's the one right there. This would have been the best like interpretation to go off of, because this, in my opinion, Super Sentai is sci-fi all the way through. Even when they touch on magic, it's still sci-fi. And this, if I actually went with that idea, this would have been an entirely different character if I went off of that inspiration. Man, okay. So this was the oh man, I wish I kind of went off that inspiration a little bit. Oh well. Hey, you want something, you want something. I still like my, rendition of the character. I definitely feel like that the suit design that I definitely have for, my character over here, definitely like I said, definitely beats the original design to an extent. But again, you can't hate on the originals, because without it, we wouldn't have our Roll for Hero series now, would we?
No. And I really like what I came up with. I have been
Yeah.
trying for a long time to come up with I've been trying to come up with a bird character for a long time, and I was happy when I came up with the Mighty Caw, because he finally kind of filled the winged character role that I've been trying to do. But he didn't hit all the points I wanted to hit, but he got some of them, so that was good enough for me. But I really, really have been wanting to do something cool with a winged character. Like, I really loved Blue Falcon as a kid, and I always wanted to do something that like paid an homage to him, and also, like we were saying, I love Gotcha Man and stuff. So, like, getting to do something that kind of throws back to that too is pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Change it. There we go.
Oh, it's not
there we
wrong.
go.
There we go. Well, let's see. Let's see. Cedric Haywood says, I actually have a character that I rolled up when y'all did. Y'all have not done it yet, but I got everything written down. Okay. And let's see here. Dragon Gaming says, I was thinking maybe he could have a darker version of his colors for the outer layers of the suit and glowing brighter colors for the under layers of his suit. So when he opens the cape, he's just glowing. Oh, that's a cool idea.
Oh, all right. You got me having to do that now. This is your fault.
Why don't you guys could write down the ideas we give you and save them for next time? That sounds like a good idea for a show that has a producer that can keep up with things.
I mean, or two.
That sounds like a really good idea for that.
Ooh, I kind of it feels a little bright, but I like it. You know what? I like the cyan now that I actually did it in this kind of color scheme aesthetic. Like seeing that, or wait, hold on. I did this before when we did the when we first did like our topics of like the characters that have the ability to eat and then go from there. I did this with my Radiant Knight character, where I kind of made like the cape glowing because I was inspired by what's it called? I was inspired by Radiant Black when I did that design. There we go. Kind of like that a little bit. I guess in a way, like it shows the inside layer of the cape glowing. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. I got something going on here. I got something in the brain space. We got something going here. Oh, there's okay. Wait, where are you? There you go, and there you are. Perfect. All right, that's too dark. Maybe we just gotta go a little bit lighter. Perfect. We'll go a little darker at the edges. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Getting to so when you see like the patterns on the inside, this is the closest thing I can get to that cybernetic pattern in a way.
I made a drawing of a circuit pattern and keep it as a pattern that I can pull up, and I will thicken the outlines and stuff on it, and I'll use it all the time for backgrounds or for like the interior of things that are supposed to look like like Batman Beyond suit or something when the tech's activating.
Ooh, that actually came out. That was better than expected. Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. That actually helped out a lot. Because that actually helped advance this like suit concept. Ooh, you know what I could play this off of? A little bit. I could play this idea of the suit. I can play it off as if it was. This might be a bit of a thing. So there's a cartoon called Spider-Man Unlimited. This was supposed to be the Spider-Man 2099 cartoon, but because they did Batman Beyond, they're like, let's not do that. So then they play it up with so many different aspects. And this could be like a unique nanosuit type situation where maybe it's like it has like a bunch of nanobots to an extent, and that's actually what develops and makes his suit the way it is. Maybe it's through like, because over here I kind of have these weird little headphones in a way, but it kind of goes towards like the back of the helmet or like to his mask or whatever. That could probably be how he gets like his whole like suit kind of covering up completely or something like that. That could be a really cool idea to kind of play off of that, because I remember
the idea of the nano suit.
Because I remembered whenever he would like, because I know that in the animation part when they did it for, again, Spider-Man the animated series, or the Spider-Man Unlimited, I should say, whenever he would be completely covered up, and I guess just to save on time, they did like some B-roll footage of him like having the suit cover him up, and when it was done, you saw the little cybernetic parts here and there to show off that, okay, the suit's been fully applied.
Oh, yeah.
So
I remember the show. I liked it.
That,
I think they went a little bit far with the mutant animal thing, but like they had to do something to try and separate themselves, make it look different than everything else out there. And why they didn't just go Spider-Man 2099, I don't know. Like that would
it's because I think they didn't want to fully copy what DC was doing, because at the time they had Batman Beyond kind of going on.
Yeah, but I mean, but they would just be going off of their own comics, like, I mean, the ideas are similar, but also kind of not. Like Batman Beyond's its own thing. Like, yeah, it's Batman in the future, but it's beyond Batman. It's beyond him and his rogues gallery. You barely ever see anybody from the old rogues gallery, where Spider-Man 2099 was, how can we pack as many of the same ideas in again in new, super edgy 90s ways. Dragon Gaming 459 says, "You're welcome. You guys are awesome and inspiring. Back at you, baby." That's what Esteban says. And Little Philip Walter says, "I like Esteban's idea, smiley face." I said, go to hell, Philip. You don't like my
Hey, come on, let's not hate on people here. But yeah, I think. But honestly, I love this design concept, because now you can kind of see the subtle hand. Again, this is the closest thing I can get to the cybernetic stuff.
I love the idea. I think it's a great.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun getting to see that kind of growing on. Oh, that's perfect. There we go. Because I can save that there. Save image, and then we'll just do this right over here. See if I have enough time. How far have we gone into this? An hour 43, and then you're just full blown drawing a comic cover for this guy.
Well, yeah, I realized I don't take enough time most of the time to do a whole separate one. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start. I tend to draw my characters in a pose anyway. So I was like, I might as well just start making their pose into something I can use. And so I'm trying this, and I'm trying to make myself start doing more like, not generic backgrounds, but more backgrounds that I could reuse. What I would really like to start doing is, I met a cat that, instead of taking a whole bunch of prints to a show and then potentially running out of whatever print was really popular at that show or whatever, he takes his printer and his book with all of the prints in it, and you pick what you want, and he pays for electricity at each booth, and then he just prints you out right then and there what you wanted. And I was like, that would allow me to do the big fancy full color caricatures and stuff that I like to do. I could do a full on comic book poster for you. And I was like, if I started making full on backgrounds as often as I get a chance to make a really cool looking like 3D background, if I went ahead and just did the whole thing, then I could collect those and reuse those later and draw you as your favorite superhero over this cityscape or on this bridge or whatever.
Also, you have like that sense of so then it's like you kind of have like a preset background for a titular. Okay.
Kind of like going to a photography studio and like you got 50 background sheets they can pull down to pose in front of, and lots of props that you could use. But then I would draw a new character on top of that. But you get a fully finished, original looking poster that looks all cool, and it saves me the time of having to draw a 3-point perspective city every single time. And and you still get something that looks awesome, and everybody wins. That's what I'm trying to say. It ain't coming across that way because Esteban's being difficult listening. I'm feeling ornery today. I don't know why. I apologize, but I definitely got a case of the orneries. I've been wanting to pick a fight all day. I went and messed with my wife this morning when she's trying to get ready for work, but she was so cute. In my defense,
listen, you married her for a reason, bud.
I'm telling you. She gonna walk around all pretty and curvy and expect somebody not to mess with her. That's a fool's errand if you ask me. Fool's errand. I'm no fool.
Oh man, I don't know why. Comic covers for me are always like so. I mean, have done my fair share. I think it's just because of I don't know. I guess just having to draw one on the spot because usually it takes me a lot longer coming up with an idea.
You get in your head. That's the problem.
That you're not wrong, good sir. That you are not wrong. So I guess
Key is just don't think about what you're doing.
So usually I know that once we kind of once we finish the idea of like actually coming up with the design of said character, I know, for me at least, I like the idea of like taking the time to think about it. So it's like, what is, I guess, like the story behind our renditions of said characters, if you will.
Oh, I will.
What is that rendition of this character? What is their whole situation about? To have it as a steampunk adjacent character, or not steampunk, but a cyberpunk character. I was so fixated on steampunk. But it's like, I personally, the one aspect of his original origin story that I liked was like the fact that he ended up obtaining the powers through the weird lab experiment situation. And I like the fact that his lab partner was conspiring with people of, basically people that they're not supposed to be working with. So instead of Nazis, I would switch them to maybe being like another corporation, or maybe, a particular type of situation that isn't related to Nazis. I'm saying that we don't do Nazis.
Made up terrorist organization like Cobra, it could just be some generic, we are the bad guys and we are going to destroy America and or apple pie.
For we shall destroy all of the world.
I always loved the concept of Cobra. I find a lot of problems with like it actually working. Like, again, like we were talking about with the henchmen, I think you're gonna have a hard time finding that many people willing to sign up to get shot at with laser guns. But if you offer enough benefits or whatever, maybe if you got enough money to throw at it, you could absolutely get people to do it. But I think it would be a hard sell just, on believing in the cause as your motivation. But, if you got billions of dollars to throw at people, I absolutely think you could probably get people to do it.
True.
Let's see.
Okay.
Jordan says, "Hey, Esteban, maybe you could draw him flying in front of the sun." And Little Dragon Gaming 459 says, "The evil corporation could be named after one of the animals the eagles prey on." Yes, we are the evil Void. Fear us and our voracious appetites.
Not against that. Probably might have to. I know there's that one classic Superman cover that I might want to try out. Who knows?
The shadow knows.
The shadow only knows. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I can turn this into a... This could be a twofer deal, now that I think about it. Because I haven't drawn a cover for the Cougar-based supervillain that we ended up doing.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Having her fight off against the American Eagle. And Psybeast. Tons of cat puns while she's attacking a bird. How could we not? Don't you know comics are made of puns, men in their underwear, and drawings? It's my favorite part about them. Especially the puns.
And I like the puns, he says.
You gotta love the puns. That's how I got my fiance. Again, those jokes you gotta get.
I'm saying, man. You got to stick with what works, man. Stick with what's working. Don't change bait now.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I can actually make that part work. Okay. I'm picking up something here. So my idea for, I guess, now that I kind of mentioned the Cougar-based supervillain and whatnot, I think it could be interesting how maybe there was an offshoot, because I remember like in the Psybeast origin story that I did, I remember mentioning how there's like an under the table like government project or whatever that, or something along the lines of that, where they want to replicate, someone being more advanced, more powerful, whatever, and it created Psybeast. That same organization also created that Cougar villainous, which the character I did was Red Paw. But what if it turns out that this took place in a cybernetically a cyberpunk future, and then the American Eagle just happens to be one of these kind of heroes that happens to be here. Like he would have been this world's rendition of Batman, if you will, but more patriotic.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
We're able to, and then from there, getting to see him like fight off this crazy cougar cat lady, and it's just like, my gosh. And then of course the jokes will ensue, where it's like, perfect, I get to take down the American Eagle, like a cat taking down a bird or whatever. I don't know. Not today, Red Paw. I'm putting you behind bars where you deserve to be.
No one cages this kitty.
Well, ironically enough, the bird might have to. All right. I think I got a rough concept going on over here. I think it's something I just also got to start doing. I just like designing my characters the way, like just drawing them symmetrically at first, just so I get an idea of like how I can execute drawing them later on. Because it's just easier for me that way.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. And it's quicker for nothing else than like trying to figure out a pose each time, because there are lots of times I spend way more time trying to get a pose right than I do actually drawing a character sometimes. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I just tend to do at this point a pose comes easier for me than trying to draw them straight. And when I use the symmetry tool, things end up coming out looking awkward on me because I don't usually draw that way. So I'm not used to using it. So it
Mm.
comes out with things all I never get things to come out looking the way I want them to, which you would think would be relatively easy because I draw all day, but it's a whole different beast and it works differently.
Mm. Yeah, I remember the last times I remembered I did like just characters in like different poses and whatnot. I would always do like a 3/4 kind of an angle, and I used to do that a lot with my friends like D&D characters, because
Yeah.
just because that's just how I used to draw them. And I always remember like I had to draw all my friends' characters first before we played, because I wanted the visual representation before getting anywhere else. But that's how I used to draw them a lot. It was always the same posing too, so I never really got to diversify it until like later on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now that I make comics, I have to learn how to diversify.
Oh yeah, comics will force you.
Oh yeah, that is honestly, if there's one thing I think every artist should know to some extent, it is definitely to draw comics. Not just for the fact that it does contribute to having a better understanding, but it also teaches you a metric ton of everything. Again, like I think we said it in one of your School of Fish episodes, but it's like, when you do character design, you got to be a bit of a fashion. Like when you make comic books, you got to be a fashionista, an architect. You have to be a, what else was there? Because I know there are some other words that I mentioned as well.
You got to be an architect. You got to
be a costume designer, interior
yeah.
designer. Then of course like a fashionista, depending on like what kind of story you're gonna tell. You also need to be a bit of a, is it geologist or is it geographer? I don't know. Someone who knows how to draw out the lands in a way.
Yeah.
And like getting to draw out fantasy maps, especially if you're making like a fantasy comic, because I know that for some of those people you all have to kind of like create a map, and yeah, sure, there are programs for that, but I know some people are probably better off like actually drawing their map, because it's a much more different. It's a different experience when you're actually going hands-on on that one.
Oh yeah. I drew mine for Wonderland myself, and TS just kind of threw it in the script, like, oh yeah, and Rabbit's got a map of Wonderland tacked to a tree, and I'm like, well, obviously I have to draw that out in great detail. And he's like, oh man, no, it can just be a throwaway scribble. No, it cannot. Have you met me? I can't do that. If I'm
Plus,
gonna
what if
do
somebody
it,
wants to create it as a cosplay? You never know.
So it ended up becoming a poster on the campaign, and people have liked it. I want to make it into a full blown like throw blanket, and I got a place laid up that'll do it. It's just like $200 to get the process started, and you got to make a bunch of them for it to make any sense. So, like, I'd have to run a whole separate little Kickstarter for it, I think. But I'm thinking about doing it maybe early next year or something. See if there's enough interest in it. I've had several people be like, "Oh yeah, absolutely want one," but are those couple of people going to be enough to make it worth getting it done? Because like, if not enough people want it, then it's a cool idea, but it doesn't have to become a reality if
Right.
not enough people actually want the thing.
Okay. Ooh, I'm really digging this idea over here.
Philip said, Esteban, that awesome idea, and I like how you're connecting it to another comic book idea that you created. Philip's in the Esteban fan club over there. I heard him say on another stream that fish sucks, but I'm not taking that personally.
Whoa, 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 whoa. We don't discriminate against any other artist here. Art is art. Okay. Philip, listen, I appreciate the compliments, but you do not discredit the work that Mr. Fish has done.
Oh yeah,
Unlike
there's a
listen,
whole website dedicated to fish sucks. I believe Philip's the moderator, if I remember correctly.
listen, the only thing Mr. Fish has, on me is the fact that he actually gets books done, and I'm still on book 1. So he has me beat there. All right. You got to pay respects to the OGs. You
I've
got to
worked on
respect
117 books, and he's restarted his book 117 times. That's pretty
Oh, it's painfully true. The reboot bug hits me, and it's annoying. But this is like the last definitive time, and this is the truth because I have the method of it, and I know where I'm going with it this time. I promise. The Lord is my witness as I am saying this. Anyways, okay. Now that I got that all out of the way, at least I managed to get that on the go. This was actually the original idea that I had in mind. I was actually gonna use the Cooler Lady. I was gonna use Red Paw as a villain for the Unbeatables, and I was gonna show off like Buggy, or in this case Honeybee. Now her name's Honeybee. I was gonna use that idea, but I'm like, I don't know just yet. But where is she? Speaking of, there we go. Perfect. And then we do that. Go right over there. There we go. Boom. Let's see. How am I going to do that? Well, this is just more like a rough concept. Who knows? Probably once I get to a recap video talking about, the characters and all that kind of stuff, maybe I'll have a more definitive cover concept, because right now this is obviously still in the rough draft phasing, if you will.
Deadpool, where did you post your image of the green llama? Was it Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube? Where did you post it at?
Yeah, because also, I guess still trying to plug this in. Obviously, if you guys followed along, you guys rolled up one of the characters that we didn't end up rolling, please use hashtag roll for hero, ROLL, the number 4, and HERO. Again, it's definitely on me because I know I have a bit more time in comparison to Fish. So I definitely need to start really looking at, the roll for hero segments to see if there are any newer updated, images or anything like that. Because I have seen a few on Instagram, and I'm not sure if that's because of our stream or something else. It looked like it was. So again, I definitely got to look into that more definitively. But yeah, get those images going. Again, we want to do a whole fan art, segment where we get to show off all the awesome and amazing ideas that y'all get to come up with. Because again, we can only come up with so many things.
Philip realized that I called him out for being the moderator of fishsucks.com. And he said,
come
Mr. Fish,
on.
you're an amazing artist too, and a totally hilarious person. Thank you so much for making me laugh as you joke around. Yeah, joke around.
And then Deadpool says he has posted those on Instagram and YouTube.
All right, let me see. It says he tagged us. Let's see. Okay, here it is mentioned in a post. Okay, cool. Let me pull that over here. There we go. Check that out. I love the ghosts on it. That's awesome. Because I was hoping we would get the green llama just for the weirdness of him being able to tap into that spiritual side and get ghosts and stuff to help him. I was kind of hoping that we would roll that up so that I could get to do that one. That looks really cool.
Also for me too, I get to tap into doing the mystically weird stuff too. So definitely, yep. Okay, so that is you. So your Ghost Pool 9. Oh, I don't know if you want me to say that. Well, I mean, so Ghost Pool 91, you did the Green Llama. Wow, and you even posted it too. And then also you did like an Ancient God, and you did the hero and the villain for it, which is actually sick. And I saw that and I really liked it. And you also did another one, which is like a super villain who has the, risen experimental government type situation with 2 major powers. telekinesis and magic, to self-transform, seeking the cure to the powers. Oof. And like, okay, that's actually really, really cool. That is actually gnarly of a concept. That is awesome. Yeah, definitely got to keep looking for more Roll for Heroes on different platforms too. But now that I know that that's you, I'm glad that I was able to definitively note that that is you, Deadpool. So amazing art, fantastic. Obviously, you know, we definitely need to look more into all those other platforms.
Yeah, I've been trying to check every so often, but then also I've had make an update to my Kickstarter page on my to-do list every day for 3 weeks, and I haven't done it yet. So things slip through sometimes. I hate you. I know I seem like a super on the ball all the time, every day. Well, just most of the times.
Okay, I'm kind of digging what I'm drawing up over here. Oh, that's great. That is good. This is just a rough concept, obviously, but again, there we go. So what would your American Eagle be all about? What's their whole dilemma? What is why do they go and fight crime? Why do they do that? Or do they fight crime? Are they the cause of crimes?
No, I think he's definitely a trying to do the right thing kind of guy. I'm also thinking probably teenager, maybe early 20s is what I'm thinking right now. And I am thinking like basically same thing, lab accident gave him powers like the original, and now he's got these abilities and is trying to do the best he can with them. And you know, maybe I think it's kind of fun when you see the characters like make mistakes and stuff and like think they're helping the good guys and they're actually helping the bad guys or whatever, like, you know, see them make mistakes along the way. I definitely see him as like the kid who's trying his best and will get on the wrong side of things from time to time and make the wrong people mad, but is genuinely like really believes he is doing the best he can at whatever. Like, I kind of like the idea of, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of him being like an immigrant or something, and you know, like really full on believes in the American dream, and is, you know, trying to do the absolute best he can with that uh, in a country that isn't the one that he was born into or grew up in necessarily. Like, I like the idea of him being an outsider, but being so full blown. I love this country. I love the opportunities that we have. I want to be the embodiment of what I always dreamed this nation was when I wanted to come here, because I think that kind of person would be a lot more likely, especially in like a sci-fi future, to want to emblazon themselves in a country's colors and like be like the hero of the. I think they're the ones that believe in something that much, where most of us that grow up in it all we see are the problems or the issues, and you know, don't appreciate it for the opportunities it has. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Oh, I can totally see that. Yeah, 100%. I can definitely see that happening, and especially like when he's just simply just trying to do the right thing, but because of again, like maybe something happened. Maybe in particular, he thought he managed to punch the right person, but say he accidentally like or say that he mistaken one of the heroes as the villain, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's capital punishment! I am so sorry, sir." It's like, "You little birdie."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let him get away.
And I could totally see him like, what was I going to say? Like, I think it would give a lot of neat opportunities too. Like, say, if his family was brought over here, like for his dad's job, and then like he finds out that dad's company is up to something fishy, and he's trying to help and he's trying to stop them from doing something better. And maybe he doesn't even really believe that dad's company could be evil because his dad works there, but ends up stumbling onto something that now, like, his dad's in danger of getting fired, and they may lose everything because he stood up and tried to do what was right, like his dad always told him to do. And like, I think there could be lots of cool possibilities in there, and that could tie into the original story. Like, it could be an experiment his dad was doing for this company that he ends up spilling, and it ends up irradiating him and whatever, and giving him these abilities, and he stumbles onto this plot that his dad's a part of, but not like in an evil way. Like, they're just like using his dad's tech or whatever, and he realizes they're using it for evil and tries to stop it, but it ends up like steamrolling, and now like his dad's in trouble, and his dad must be the leak because his dad was the only other person that knew about it, and knew they were using his tech or whatever, and like now his family's in danger of losing everything because he tried to stand up and do the right thing. And
that can be that's like a classic underdog, but also like there's a lot of classic. I think there's a lot of fun classic hero elements in there that can totally make this story worth more than it is. I definitely feel like I love that idea. I love that concept a lot, actually.
Or even worse, if like him trying to do the right thing ended up getting his dad killed, and him trying to be a hero and thinking that he knew all the angles, and then it comes around and ends up he loses his dad to that. Oh, that would be so painful, but such a motivation that I can't let this continue. I can't let them do this to anybody else. Like, oh, that's grim Uncle Ben territory right there.
Oh, yeah. I think it's also the reason why I like it, because of the fact that it does bring those I guess you could say those Spider-Man kind of vibes, where again you see like a teenage kind of hero who just wants to do the right thing, but he's also being hated on because maybe what he's doing, though with good intentions, is always not doing it the correct kind of way, and which ends up leading him down to his like.
If you were really wanting to make a difference, why are you wearing a mask? And like, well, because I'm trying not to get my family killed. But oh, poppycock, nobody would do that. Well, not to give my identity away, but
well, I mean,
oh man, and could you imagine like the way we twist the news and stuff now to fit what we want the narrative to be? Could you imagine like what it would be 50, 60 years in the future if it just continues down this path? And this kid is trying to do what's right, trying to stop the company from doing something horrible, and they end up killing his dad to shut his dad up, thinking he's the leak. And then like this kid gets blamed for being the one that started all this and tried to take down this wonderful, beautiful company that makes everything better, and killed one of their precious employees. Oh, it could be so grim and beautiful so fast. Man, I don't have time for another book, Esteban.
I'm sorry, man. This is the point of Vote for Hero. We just want to come up with stuff, man. Because I'm also trying to.
Philip, I'm going to need you to talk to your boy here and tell him quit giving me ideas, because I ain't got time for this. I got books to make, man. People
You
are
got
waiting
bills to
for
pay and books to make. I have
Alice
a wedding to plan
lost
for
one
and
leg.
a trip to Hawaii to die into. Oh man, let's get that on the go. Okay. I'm actually kind of digging this one a little bit. I actually like this. It combines Red Paw, combines American Eagle, and I'm trying to see if I can sneak in what's it called? Psy Beast in here. I was thinking about actually having like Psy Beast being a little bird, kind of like right next to him in the process.
That'd be cool.
So at least I'm able to kind of like fit all three of them in there.
Oh, that's not the right color.
And you can tell it's Psy Beast because she happens to have her armor. Because if anyone who's ever watched that video, you guys would know that Psy Beast, though she transforms, she can warp reality. And by warping reality, it's to warp her suit to always kind of make it look like it's fitting in her animal forms. So,
If you were taking notes like Philip, you would have known this.
so it's like a battleized little. Okay, that actually kind of works. And maybe I can fill up that little space there. Oh, look at that. Every aspect of the page taken up. That's perfect. That's awesome. But there's no room for the title.
Oh man, I just did that on a cover. I had to move. I had drawn like a half dozen aliens and soldiers and stuff for Little Car and Silva, as a matter of fact. And then I had to end up moving everything down and in layers to get it to fit because I forgot to leave room for the title.
Don't you just hate it when you're making a comic and you don't have enough room for the, or like a cover, and you just don't make room for the title?
Mm-hmm.
Don't consider it for yourself.
Deadpool says, I always try to keep up and finish my drawing during the live stream. It was difficult with the hero and villain from last time. Goodness, you did both. I imagine that was hard.
Oh yeah, I mean
especially
that was
shorter stream that time.
yeah.
Would
that
y'all
was
ever
awesome.
do a community redraw?
Ooh, okay. So there's an artist who does this.
Redraw characters y'all do? Is that what you're saying?
No, so it's a. I think that's what it is. So there's an individual who does. I think I showed you one of his videos, Pop Cross Studios. Love his videos, and he does do like one of these monthly community redraws where he'll get a bunch of people's different art pieces, and he'll try to incorporate the little creature or whatever it is, and he'll try to incorporate them into like his own little stories and whatnot, or he'll be able to redesign some particular either a monster or a vehicle or something of that caliber, and he'll transform it into something else, but it's based off of the drawing that one of his fans ended up making. So like if, say for instance, they gave us like a community redraw, and say that our goal was to take two of those ideas and just to kind of like redraw them and to make them into something entirely crazy or something fun, then we would do it. Like, say they gave us a villain concept, but we took their villain and turned it into a hero. Oh, how crazy would that be? And then vice versa. And then what if we took a fantasy character, made it sci-fi, or vice versa, or something along the lines of that? That I can totally see happening.
Absolutely.
All right, let me see if I can actually find the right font to use here, because now, in a way, I'm actually kind of digging this.
I've wanted to. I've always thought it would be a fun idea to do like some redesigns of like how would I do so and so's OC in my style, if I was going to design it or if I was going to redesign it. And I always thought that would be a fun thing to do as well. Just a fun little exercise in creativity.
Oh yeah. All right, now we're kind of getting somewhere here. Well, actually, before I do anything like that, let me actually find a font that's actually worth using here. Because for me, I just kind of go off of fonts. I know I can always draw my own. I think this one could work. How about that one? Nah, it doesn't feel right. This, potentially. Actually, I think this is the exact font that I even used for the back of that book. All right, we'll stick with this one. There we go. There we go. The American Eagle. Fighting for truth, justice, and the new way for the new world.
You sound like you're selling a brand of cigarettes in the 50s.
Baby, watch your cigarettes there, kids. Try the Flintstone flavor.
Coming this theater Fridays. Yeah, my dad used to do some little voice work here. Not like professional ones, but he always loved the behind the scenes stuff. You know, whenever he used to go out, traveling around the world because he was in a band.
Because he was cool. Not lame like us.
Trust me, he does not have normal children. I will say that.
Losing baby, so why don't you snooze?
Oh, there we go. That I can dig. I can dig that. I don't know why I'm digging. I'm drawing actually, but
oh, let's dig it. Can you dig it, baby?
We're gonna rasterize. I'm gonna then rasterize this one because why not? I'll full lock those. Ooh. See, that feels like it has that cyberpunk edge to it a little bit, with the more futuristic feel. Anyways, I think I'm more or less going to cap it off here. I think I might have to do the whole... I actually like this cover concept. Dang, this is actually cool. I'm annoyed with myself because I would want this to be an actual book. I wish I had a team of like 50,000 different artists and, writers so that I can just get one of these things out.
Yeah, Philip, Dadpool, come on. Where you at? Asking for help. Y'all just watching for fun. Y'all could be picking up a pencil, getting to work.
There we go.
Making the dream happen.
I mean, who knows? Because there's one thing I also got to learn how to do as well. It's also not to be so perfect with my lines. Because
man,
that is a problem for any young comic artist there, especially for me. Because it's like I always want my things to look perfect, but I realize that is never going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it's always could have been better or something like. That's just the thief of joy right there. You can't let that I want it to be perfect mentality stop you from getting things done. And I'm so much happier with my work now that I started letting go of that and quit trying to make everything perfect. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm much, much happier now. Like I legit, the pages I've been working on the last couple of days, I keep looking at them and I'm like, wow, those are really cool. And then I'm like, I did that. And I'm just surprised and impressed. But it's a neat feeling to have.
Oh, wait, I think I managed to actually fit in that extra fin in the back on this little cover rendition.
Well, there you go. Keeping it real for the old heads out there.
There we go. Then we create the weird headphone thing that I kind of came up with right there. It's a lot, but we can work with it. Oh, shoot, you're right. Because the part of me is just not really like, sure, I'm going back in, like erasing little bits here and there, but dang. Am I going to be able to finish an entire cover by the time the stream is over? Who knows? Who knows?
There we go. That's not bad. I mean, it ain't great, but it ain't bad. Quit saying it's bad. Why do you keep saying it's bad, man?
It's the perfectionist in every artist. They always want everything to be done with such professionality.
That's what I'm saying. Honor.
I also know that there's another comic artist, or not a comic artist, but I know someone who kind of stole T.S. Luther's bit. There's a guy, you probably seen him, Danny Strider on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Danny.
Yeah, right. You bought them. Duh. We were in one of his streams. Why did I? Man. Anyways, the what's it called? Because I saw some of his work, or at least the artist that he's working with, because he's an actual Marvel artist. The level of professionality on those pages is insane. But that's like that right there's a chunk of change and then some for those pages and artworks. That's fantastic. Images, by the way. I'm not going to downgrade the work that guy's going through, because that is not easy to come across, especially if you find a Marvel artist to work on your book. But I'd rather work with other people and give them that opportunity. Marvel artists got those opportunities coming all the time. I like to believe so. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he's definitely working with a talented artist. I'm not jealous. You're jealous.
Yeah, you're right. I am.
Yeah,
I
and it
will admit
costs
when
money.
I'm the jealous.
All right, let's see. What are we going to do?
All right, so now we're getting on the bell over here. Dang, this is coming out pretty darn cool. Pretty darn nifty. Oof, man, I'll probably get lost into drawing this entire thing. If you guys want to see the entire fully rundown idea of how this cover of mine comes down, or at least a potential story, be sure to pop on over to Ultra Comics, aka my channel, to see the thought process, the story that I may or may not have behind this cover of a public domain hero and two other heroes and a villain, a hero and a villain that we ended up drawing with nothing more than dice and our imagination. I always love those recap videos. Those are a lot of fun to make sometimes, because you just kind of go off rip telling some crazy idea.
I've filmed a few. I haven't got them edited, and it bugs me that I haven't. But I'm trying not to beat myself up, because I know I've got a lot going on. But man, why did I do that? How did I grab that color? That's not the color. Anyway, it bugs me that I don't have them edited, but I'm just gonna have to give myself some peace and some grace and say, you know what? I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. That's what I tell myself. I say. That's what I call myself.
So that's what we all got to tell ourselves. We all got to be a little nicer to ourselves, because especially as artists, and especially for me, I would say, because I know I'm always very hard on myself, and especially my art, because I know there's always that little voice in my head saying, "Is it really good enough?" I have to tell myself it's good enough for me.
Couldn't be.
Oh shoot! I'm digging this right now. Oh, I'm loving it. Call me McDonald's, because I'm loving it.
That brings me joy.
If there's one thing I wish I could actually nail down properly, it would to sing the entire menu song. My dad remembered the Big Mac Meal, Quarter Pounder, Whiston Cheese Filet, a fish and hamburger, a cheeseburger, a Happy Meals, McNuggets, golden fries, regular or large fries, and then that's all I can remember.
That's pretty impressive. I can't remember all that nonsense. I mean, I remember the 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. I remember that one. But
I think it would be interesting. It would be now that we're on the topic of McDonald's and all that kind of fun stuff. I think another interesting thing we should dive into is getting to create our own little fast food franchise concepts.
Oh my god! Like, put Grimace in like the MCU,
yeah.
Or freaking
oh my god!
Ronald and
you ever heard of
Justice
the box
League
office
Unlimited?
artist?
Oh god, that'd be hilarious.
I was gonna say, have you ever heard of the box office artist? Because he ended up doing a thing where he took all the he made like an Avengers Endgame poster and made the Avengers all the mascots of every like fast food franchise. Made like Ronald McDonald, Captain America. I forgot who like was Thor in that situation, but like he drew every character of like every fast food franchise and turning them into something else, which was like very, very cool. I was gonna say something along the lines of like, for me, it would be interesting to kind of see like how like a fast food employee lives in a world of superheroes, because again, they're like the everyman. And it's just like, look, man, I just wanted to serve burgers. I needed a minimum wage job. I had to pay rent.
Yeah, but
Getting held up by Condiment King or some whacked out, villain of the week type situation over there. It actually reminds me, I had this idea, or it's one idea that I definitely executed in one of my books, where they end up going to this restaurant called Gonzo's in my superhero universe. It's a little restaurant that they go to. It's a little burger shop owned by a Russian man who canonically is brothers with Santa Claus, because I can do that. Gonzo's, this big burly Russian man, and he's like, yes, it is the heroes.
what
No
else
discount.
could he be?
That's good. I don't care that you save city. Listen, you have to pay for a meal.
Ah, indeed, you must.
If not, I tell brother to put you on naughty list.
He'll do it too. I've been on there for 50 years.
He still holds grudge against fact I put Pebble in boot for one Christmas night. Worth it. Getting to see him struggle around. Oh, the elves never shut up about it. It was so funny. Roll for Hero Holiday Edition, getting to roll like the different holiday characters and getting to see how they would look in like a different setting.
That would be cool.
Oh, like as it is, like I know Santa fits so well in the fantasy genre just because, but imagine if he was like a straight up like cyberpunk kind of guy, or was an alien. Oh, I could totally see that being a thing. This came out way better than I expected. That I will admit. That I shall admit, my friend. Yes. Megatron, terrorize. Brah. There we go. Probably show off those muscles right over there because we can.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're going to do.
There we go. How long have we been at this? We've been at this for a solid 2 hours and 30 minutes. And now we're just going in, drawing out the entirety of our things. I'm going to probably put a pause on mine for now, just because obviously if we were actually here trying to finish up everything, this would be a much more longer stream, because sometimes these comic covers, at least the ones that I do for my channel, they take about like 3 to 4 hours, depending on like the intricacies of the character and the posing and stuff. I'm gonna de-stream myself over here. Now we're just gonna see what Mr. Fish got going on right over here. As we put ourselves off on the side. Look at that, wondrous. Look at that.
It's coming along.
That is awesome. I love like the roguish nature. I just love the fact that this looks like that, like in a cyberpunk society. It feels like some kid just took his jacket, some pants, and whatever he had lying in the closet, just gave it a red, white, and blue paint job and called it a day. And it's like, I'm gonna go fight crime.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I like about it too. Like it's got a little bit across with like, G-Force Battle of the Planets, got your man kind of vibe. A little bit of like a touch of like a Kamen Rider sort of like, leather suit, helmet kind of thing going. But like he could have pulled this off. He could have just made this and done it. And
oh yeah.
I love that idea. I'm really liking it.
This is awesome. Honestly, not gonna lie, because this was a really fun time. I love this whole thing. I just can't wait for, and I also just like the fact that at least on my side of things, I was able to connect 3 different characters together and get them to like work within the same universe. Now that the first character I did for this entire series, that being Psy Beast, now being able to incorporate her in one of these covers, actually managing to create a cover, for some of these characters, because there are some that I know was definitely hard for at least for me to do, because again, I haven't really gone as far to. It's been a while since I've drawn like some comic covers to an extent where like I got to put the heroes in little different situations or little difficult tasks and whatnot, because I always tend to go the invincible route. I realize that whenever I draw a comic character sometimes and I don't know what to put them in, I'll put them in the invincible posing, like the first issue where he's just kind of like standing by a wall ready to punch. I remember doing that for Shelbyville, just primarily for Shelbyville, and I remember doing it when I did a redesign challenge with PD Hero Comics, which, by the way, if you guys want to see some fun, like, ideas of like other public domain characters being redesigned, go follow Brooke over at PD Hero Comics. She's an amazing artist and does some awesome art. Wonderful job, Mr. Rich. Yeah, honestly, he's doing much more spectacular compared to me, but he's done comics longer than I have. Since no renewal is seen for the cards of Martian from Mars attacks our public domain, that could be something interesting to look into, but I'll do my research on that. Fast food English. I can do it well. The fast food franchise mascots stream would be hilarious and awesome. I agree. 100% agree. Robot Santa from Futurama. I've never really seen that show, but
everybody's on the naughty list.
These drawings are fantastic, and the covers are absolutely stunning. Thank you so much.
Knows what's up.
Philip always knows what's up. Especially because for me, like I always get into that process, but I'm a hold off because I know I take a long time to put my stuff together. And again, I drew my character standing first before I did anything else. So, man, if there's one thing I really need to start learning how to do is definitely colors. I got to start learning how to do colors for sure. Because I would have not drawn, or the way that I would have colored it, I would have not have done it like that. I guess for me, I would have
good color already, though. I mean,
oh no, coloring characters are one thing, because I can design a character and color their outfits and make that work. But it's more like having to put them in a scene, because I would stay so close to the original like colors to the point where it feels like that they're really like sticking out like sore thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to play with like different color hues is something I definitely know I have to work with. And, I'll definitely have to experiment with that. If I ever decide to work on, webtoon ideas or taking my comics and putting them on webtoons. Ooh. Kind of yapping about those ideas. Once we finish these streams, I always tend to chuck out the ideas of making some of my comics into webtoons to see if it's more easily available to get it out there for you guys, Rodrigo Badia says, you should search up Commons character copyright in Wikipedia Commons, which show what characters that are public domain or not yet. Definitely got to look into that. For sure. Because I know the public domain is always a fun topic, especially for any young, like I will say, for like if any of y'all are trying to get into writing comics or making your own comics, honestly, I think if there's one thing I wish I would tell myself to do is like take a classic fairy tale, like get the generic fairy tale idea. Like say if I told myself, hey, make Three Little Pigs, but make it as a comic book, like adapt it as a comic, I feel like I would have done so much in terms of like design. Like it would have taught me so much, like learning from the public domain stuff, from fairy tales to even public domain superheroes. And if you're to take those ideas and adapt it in a different way, I feel like it would have definitely taught me a lot more.
Well, that's the thing. You can take any of those ideas and put them in a different setting, put them, in a different time frame, flip the script around, make some of the names a code word for something else. Like I came up with an idea for one where like the 5 and 20 blackbirds baked into a pie, like the blackbirds were actual like political terrorists that were trying to overthrow the king, and they were sneaking into a big ball, and they were sneaking in with the catering staff and stuff, to get in like Trojan horse style, and then bust out and run rampant and try and take over. Or like one of my favorite ideas is if like Little Boy Blue was on an alien planet and the sheep and the cows are like the size of kaijus, and try and steer them and control them, he's got to like blow his horn to lead them one way or the other so they don't destroy everything that they built. all kinds of weird stuff you could do with it if you just put it
Weirdly
in a
enough,
different situation, you know?
I was gonna say, because weirdly enough, I actually had a similar idea. I remember in high school, and if any of my friends are watching this, which I doubt they are, because they would have been blown up the comments right now. I remember I came up with this idea to create. Now, this was before I knew anything about Alice Lost in Wonderland. I did not know this existed at all because I was in high school and I was not on that side of TikTok as of that moment.
Sure.
It sounds crazy. I know I got a KFC journal here somewhere because I got that when I was working there. But I remembered writing down like this entire idea of creating like, I guess, sci-fi renditions of like the classic fairy tale characters, or at least what we know from Disney, from Mulan, Tarzan, what's it called? Like Ariel, like all those characters, right? And I remember I wanted to turn it into some kind of like a sci-fi epic. And since all the characters were public domain, it was easy to kind of go off of. I had this crazy cracked out idea that the main character, weirdly enough, would be like a Sherlock. I think it would be Sherlock Holmes. And his whole bit is that he could have been, I didn't get the full premise of at least why I wanted to use Sherlock Holmes, because I feel like he would have been the person to get everyone together. So he would travel planet to planet, and it turns out he goes on this entire jungle-themed planet. There he finds Tarzan and Mowgli. And then, maybe he manages to get them out. And then somehow he has to fight off different planets where they're ruled by, the crystal glass city where Cinderella rules. And the other one, the cloud sleeping region of where Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, if I'm incorrect, kind of takes over and rules over that whole situation. And then, of course, we have an entire region taken over by Mulan and, riding on dragons. I feel like that would have been so cool to see, like, how those would have been, like, warring nations and going at each other and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got over here. I'm reminded of an old Andrew Dice Clay bit. I don't get it.
Some of the jokes you make sometimes, I'm like, that absolutely sounds like Andrew Dice Clay, but I know it's before your time. But
because I'm that young, apparently.
I hear echoes in the accent and stuff.
The Little Red Riding Hood, the spirit of stories.
I had an idea for like a Little Red Riding Hood where the Red Riding Hoods are like a league of ninjas that are fighting against the werewolf clan, and this one cybernetic werewolf, after he gets injured and rebuilt, ends up falling in love with Little Red Riding Hood, and together they're trying to fight against both sides to make peace between the two factions. And like, I was going to make that a short story in Fishtails, but no, I'm not doing that. So
oh my god!
It may end up in Alice at some point.
I'll make sure to ask my parents. I'll be sure to ask my parents.
I was like, where'd you hear about that Andrew Dice Clay? You don't need to be listening to that. He was very, very dirty comedian at the time.
Oh, it's a comedian. The only comedian as of right now, I obviously know the more modern ones, especially Gabriel Iglesias. He was my favorite comedian. I actually went to one of his shows in Orlando. That was a ton of fun.
We were going to go. I think something happened and we ended up having to miss it, but it's some family emergency or something. But
well, that's always more important. Well, yeah. Well, what's it called? But like, imagine if you were to dive deeper into that whole like situation. Imagine if like Red Riding Hood got like ended up teaching the werewolf ninjutsu or like the ways of this whole ninja clan, but then say accidentally or some situation happens to where Red Riding Hood unfortunately is injured and needs a blood transfusion and gets the blood transfusion from this werewolf, and now she's like a werewolf cybernetic ninja having to fight out the two different clans using ninjutsu and werewolf tactics. Oh, it sounds like an 8-year-old dream.
I've got a character. There's a character that's going to show up down the road in Alice Lost in Wonderland because there are vampires and werewolves and all those things. There's a character that is slowly being taken over by a cybernetic virus that's turning him into a cyborg. But in the process, like every time he gets injured, it rebuilds him with cybernetic parts and whatnot. And he ends up going on a crusade with this other guy, and they go on a crusade against the vampires and the werewolves, and he gets bit in the process by everything. So he's got the vampire virus and the lycanthropy virus living inside his body at the same time, but the cybernetic virus is like keeping them at bay pretty much. So he ends up sort of like Blade, with like the best attributes of both sides. Like he gets the pointed ears and he can see in the dark and he gets stronger and faster and all this stuff. He starts to look a little more monstrous, but it keeps him at bay. But then when he gets a computer virus on top of that way down the road, then it all busts loose and then he becomes this big gigantic monster and everything starts growing crazy. It's going to be good. It's going to be
I
good.
can only imagine. Real
Stay
quick.
tuned for Alice Lost in Wonderland, issue 40.
Right. So we have Rodrigo Video saying, so since Halloween is almost coming up, are you going to do a public domain variation of the Creature Commandos? Actually, that was one of the first ideas, because I know that Creature Commandos came out way earlier. In my opinion, I know that it was one of the first ideas to come out. That should have came out during October, because that's one of the best ideas to put out in October, of all things, Creature Commandos. And I actually held off the idea of touching Creature Commandos until October began. So yes, I am going to do public domain Creature Commandos. That was an idea I've always wanted to work on, because I was like, but I wanted to hold it off as a Halloween edition type situation, because of the fact that it felt more fitting to put it in, it felt fitting to put it in Halloween of all things. Brad Fang from Contra Hardcore is cybernetic werewolf of sorts. Always loved his character design.
Let's go. I've got a cybernetic werewolf in my role-playing game that I created by accident at one point. I just threw him together real quick, and then my sons shot his ear off and one of his eyes, and then he became like one of their big villains after that and would never leave them alone. And I was like, yeah, a giant blue cyborg werewolf stands up in front of you. And now he's one of their longest running villains that I can run them into just about any trap I want by making him show up or one of his team. And they will run headlong into a trap every time. They've been holograms. They've been dudes in suits. It doesn't matter. They are going to run headlong in and not pay any attention to the consequences when they see these guys.
What would be a lot of, I was going to say, I think would be a really fun thing if we ever, like, say we take because say that we don't do a Roll for Hero episode. Say we end up actually diving into the realms of getting to do a whole RPG session, kind of like what we ended up doing for the first idea of, like, when we did it on the 5 Stars podcast, where we did like a whole RPG episode. That's actually where I got to introduce my character Rocket Fist. It'd be great if we tossed in, like, at least one other person, so we can kind of get a dynamic duo going on here. For the Little Red Riding Hood, the Spirit of Stories ideas could be a group of kids encountering this spirit of the woods, which left behind books of grim stories that the kids end up living through. Ooh.
I too love a good cyborg werewolf. Thank you very much.
We all love that. And then we got, and Mr. Fish, that idea of Alice stories sounds like a great way to introduce Oz. Mr. Fish, take it away.
Actually, that is coming up. That is coming up next. If you back the comic, you go MrFish.com, which is still open for late pledges until probably middle of next month, maybe, because they're a little bit behind on schedule. But you can still get in. The mini comics have a little story that is pointing in that direction. The main story is going in that direction. We're seeing more of Neverland. Alice has a big interaction with Captain Hook, and we find out more about their backstory and why Captain Hook hates Alice so much. We are on our way to the Emerald City at the end of this issue, going into issue 4. It is getting so good because in Lost in Wonderland, Wonderland is this interdimensional rift between worlds where all these crazy robots and aliens and stuff are lost in this place and they're stuck here. And all of the public domain characters you've ever heard of are aliens lost in this world. And so Neverland and Wonderland and Oz and all these things are just different places, different territories in this rift. And other places you haven't heard of, like Chasm City, that'll be coming up. But absolutely, Glass City is in there, and all the kinds of places that you've ever heard of are in there and reinterpreted in a really interesting way. And I really like it. I'm really proud of it. I worked really hard on it.
As it should be. Deadpool says,
Deadpool says,
not famous, but I love to be third wheel of that RPG.
Oh
Hey.
man, yeah. We ain't famous either, but yeah, it was absolutely fun. I'd like to run it again. I'd like to run it more often. Um, it was hard to find time to get everybody together at one time before. Uh, May have to find a different group of people that are more able to play more regularly, but I would absolutely love to start playing more regularly again. It's just it also comes down to time. And like right now, I'm busting my butt trying to get comic pages finished so I can make sure things that are supposed to be done by the end of September are done by the end of September since we're leaving this weekend to go see the grandbabies. And that's going to take a few days out of my hard working time.
Oh yeah, but I mean, other than that, though, I mean, I'd like to believe that we actually got ourselves at a really good point off of doing these awesome renditions of the characters. I just sent you a PNG of the image that I just finished and whatnot. But I guess I'm also going to chuck the question out there for some of y'all because I always tend to talk about this with Mr. Fish towards the end of our streams because I always thought I'm kind of contemplating the idea of like making a webtoon or taking my comic and making it as a web comic so that way at least it can get into your hands as quickly as I possibly can. And hopefully if it gets enough of the attention or the love that I believe that it deserves to an extent, hopefully I'll be able to take it and transfer that into the realms of making it a physical thing. If you guys want to actually support that notion, please let me know, at least on my channel, or, spam the comments if that's the case. But yeah, we have been almost at this for 3 hours. It is currently 2 hours and 50 minutes into the stream. We went so deep into this, but honestly, I loved this entire stream. The fact that we got to roll up a public domain character is a ton of fun. So, I mean, the fact that we're even able to go off of a different rendition, I mean.
And it was a fun challenge. I mean, it was the character I didn't want to roll. That and Miss Mask were the two I did. I had a funny idea for Miss Mask, but I would have been done with that in 20 minutes. This one took a minute, and I really enjoyed it. It was really fun.
Honestly, and
let's see.
I will say this kind of re-sparked that thing for the public domain. So, would a villain, let me read that because
multi-weapon rubber chicken be an interesting villain? That could be, especially depending on the type of story it was. I mean, like for a sillier villain with the rubber chicken, that could be like a Swiss Army chicken could be really funny if done right. Absolutely.
And then she would love to see the webcomic ideas. Honestly, I might post my first two
you know words.
Exactly. I'm expecting to see the fiance after this stream because she's cooking up some dinner, so can't wait for that. But honestly, this was a ton of fun. So of course, to kind of, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what else to say because usually I'm so composed, but I'm a little all over the place and whatnot. But I mean, how about listen, Mr. Rich, have you had a blast today putting together these awesome characters? Just getting to see like
a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. We came up with two very, very different renditions of a character. We got some really great ideas from the fans, which I really appreciate. I really liked having people actively give us suggestions of what realm it was going to be in. That was a lot of fun. I wouldn't have even thought of Creature Commandos as being an option, but now I absolutely want to put that on a thing to roll for because I freaking love Creature Commandos.
Or if anything, maybe for a Halloween edition for Roll for Hero, we'll roll up which monster we'll end up having to roll up and then seeing what kind of situation we're going to put them in. Now you're seeing it.
Oh, man.
All the ideas I've been in. So first and foremost, I want to say to everyone who's been popping on the stream, thank you guys so much for chucking your suggestions, like throwing them out in the air. I'm so glad that we were able to catch them and snag them up and make the awesome drawings that we were able to make today. And if you guys want to see this exact kind of interaction, but probably on a crazier scale, please make sure to follow up with us 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 Central here on Mr. Fish and my channel as well for Roll for Hero, a segment of our channels where we let the dice dictate what the heck we're going to be drawing for our own session today. It has been a ton of fun, everybody, and I like to believe that it is a really good time for us to end things here because I know we're going to keep yapping, talking, and nonstop idea chucking. So I think it's a good time for us to end the video here or end our stream here. So to every single one of y'all out there, just remember to stay awesome, stay weird, and to keep life to the easiest. And of course, never forget that art inspires all, but you can inspire more. But always remember, your uncles love you.
Peace out.
You know, and even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.